I don't know how why we had to anyway. Who does not love their mama?
Climate change.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the show, Tosi. How you doing, man? You're welcome to the show. You're welcome to the show. Wahala be like Jingle Bell, actually. It doesn't look like what's the coinage with Wahala be like Jingle Bell?
Oh, the Wahala be like Jingle Bell.
Also, your videos like Wahala be like Jingle Bell.
Wahala be like Jingle Bell. Actually started with okay, Tuesday Headlocks song Jingle Bell Bell Bell. So it was during the time Tuesday Headlocks has issue with his Instagram page. So then they were not trolling him. So that was when I started the Wahala be like Jingle Bell.
And it actually stuck. Why is it that me? I'm going to ask the question. Like, why is it that anything that has to do with Wahala,
climate change,
you find Tosin, like you are always there. Like anything that has to do with Wahala, Tosin go there. You just should place. Like people, Tosin they do here again. People, even before anybody knows about, like people, I hear something like, well,
it's gossip. People like gossip a lot. Nigerians like gossip. Anything gossip, drama, negative news like this. It sells faster, so that's the reason why I'm doing that, because people like all those kind of news. They will feast on it. This one is happening, this one is happening. So that's the reason why I don't look for Wahala. If you bring it on social media, that is when I'll talk about it. That's just my own. But looking for Wahala, no, I don't really look for Wahala. No, I don't look for Wahala. But I love Nigerians. We love gossip in Nigeria anyway. So we love bad news. When it comes to bad news,
the way we do things
just goes straight everywhere. Yeah, that's just it.
09098408408. It's right there on the screen. Just call enemy.
So naturally, and also to also combat climate change, everybody
is
advised, including organization, government,
did this become the movement?
Green.
I'm sure initially it wasn't this.
You go green, you minimize all the things that you use that can affect.
At what point? What was the
instigate?
Okay, motivation. When I started making money from it, so people are approaching me that they want to do it, but like because this whole thing started during the lockdown period.
That's what
we have
exactly.
Because you are not.
It was during the lockdown period. I was working in Kano then. I was working with Dufil Prima then. So everybody was at home then doing TikTok and everything. I was doing all the trends. I was like, let me just do something different. Everybody should shake. Nigeria should shake. Let me do something crazy, and that was just like how I started. I did one video about mistake.
Is the activities of human being reducing the consumption of gas like petroleum, whatever. And how do I mean by that? You see, it's hardly any house in Nigeria does not have generator, so you can go solar. Solar energy, you have solar, you have inverter, so that you can convert the natural sun into energy by transferring it to your inverter and then use it to power your homes. And also by having a cool environment, having trees around, having vertical garden all over your wall, you have what is called things that can reduce the excessive heat in the atmosphere. That is number 2. Number 3 is there are 3: reduce, reuse, and recycle. So you reduce some of the things that we're doing that is affecting the global warming. One of them is you need 3 clothes. You go and buy 10. Indirectly, you have to iron it. You have to wash it. You have to do a lot of things to make sure that you keep those 10 clothes. So you reduce. And then recycle. You that when you are going for procurement of thing, that do I really need? If you don't need it, you discard it. And then you also consider that can you reuse this thing you want to buy? If you buy a plastic now, you can actually, after using it, keep it somewhere, call those people and recycle it, give it to them and get money in exchange for that. So by so doing, you are mitigating against the climate change.
This recycling you talked about, very crucial. But here in Nigeria, we don't seem to have a lot of energy towards it. I remember I've been keeping some plastics in my house, and I learned recently that there is this company or a set of people that go around the estate to buy them. I've called them like a couple of times. When are you coming? When are we? We've not been able to meet yet, and I've resorted to just throwing them away with the hope that the scavengers will pick them and sell to these people. So, how do we get to see more commitment towards renewables, recycling of plastics in this climate?
Number one is advocacy. We need to step up a lot of giving information that, look, most of these plastic that you're using, there are actually some people that collect them. Like in my company now, we have waste bag for plastic. We have for vegetable waste, and we also have for a waste that you can actually, like a paper and whatever, that you can actually recycle. So when they come, they just go directly, collect those things and give them away. You need to find out those people that engage or that are actually involved in collecting all those items. Otherwise, we continue to throw this thing and they find their ways into our drainages and canal.
Okay. So you've talked. What sort of plants grow well in this part of the world? Well, let's focus on Lagos, where we live. What sort of plants should a regular person in Lagos be thinking of planting that would grow with ease at all weather?
We have tropical plants, and there are quite many. Some of them, we have palms, we have trees like ficus, like Delonis regia, so many that you can mention of, like Bougainvillea. Bougainvillea at this season used to blossom. You have it flowering all over. And then we have palms like Queen's palm, King's palm, steel palm, bottle palm, that you can actually use in some of the aprons or setback to add aesthetics to our environment. And as regard trees, we have what is called a Terminalia mentalis, like the one we have over there, that has a very large crown of leaves. So you can use that for your boulevards, for your street, to actually mop up the carbon dioxide in the air, and also purify the air.
In the words of John Moore, for every walk with nature, one gets more than 1/6. We're talking nature here today. We're talking climate change on One, and we have none other than the environmentalist himself, Mr. Shola Adekoya, giving us all that we need to know about nature and how to embrace it for our own good and for the good of Mother Earth. Let's talk about net zero. One of the issues that came up in COP27. What do we know about net zero, and what is it about?
It's about carbon credit. Carbon credit in the sense that most of those countries that produce a lot of carbon dioxide through their activities as volunteer to actually compensate by giving so much in terms of finances to also discourage some companies and countries that are engaging producing a lot of carbon dioxide. Carbon credits is a way of buying your carbons off you. They pay for you if you reduce the number of carbon that you generate, then they pay you in compensation so that you actually reduce the amount of carbon you discharge into the atmosphere so that there won't be excessive carbon that will infiltrate the climate.
So industrialized countries are committed to providing $100 million, no, $100 billion,
$100 billion, yeah,
to developing countries as a result of this.
Yeah.
So is Nigeria benefiting from it, or will Nigeria benefit from it?
I wouldn't know, but you need to position yourself before you can harness such fund. There's a lot of criteria that you you have to meet before you can access those.
Because I imagine that when you're talking about developing countries that should benefit from such a thing, Nigeria should be one.
Nigeria
And
should
when
be
you're
one.
talking about nations that are industrialized nations that are responsible for high pollution, talking about China, talking about the US.
China, Russia,
Yeah.
United States of America. Yeah.
What would be your advice to an urban dweller in Lagos who has little or no space to plant flowers, to have gardens? How would you advise them to inculcate it and make it a part of their lives? Because they are limited in terms of space.
There's no way you will not have a little space where you can actually have some greenery around you. Even if it is your toilet, your bathroom, your sitting room, you can have greens within them. Then your wall, you can make use of your wall. Your balcony, you can actually hang some flowers in them. And there is this thing that is going on in advanced country now they call Neolithic life, whereby everything you do has to do with greenery. So I think Nigeria, we are far, far, far away from that. But it is not something hard. You can cultivate the habit of collecting maybe 2 or 3 plants every month. So when you get your salary, just, okay, let me just have a bit of some greens along my balcony, my walls, my kitchen, my bathroom. Before you know it, you have collections of close to 100. And if every individual cultivates such habit, you have a greener environment.
Okay, apart from the aesthetics and the good it does to the environment, let's take a look at the therapeutic powers of flowers and plants to the human being.
Mm-hmm.
How therapeutic is it to us as human beings?
You know, nature is incredible. When you are in the midst of plant, you feel calm, no stress. After much hustling and bustling, especially in the Lagos metropolis, you come back to your home, and then the next thing you see green. You be calm. It's a sort of calmness. It gives you that calmness that, yes, you are in the midst of nature. There is no way you cannot compare the kind of breeze you are getting here with when you get outside there. So it calms you. Mm-hmm. Someone like me, when I'm distressed, I just go into my garden, talk to my plant, relate with them, look at the beauty, the creature, and say, God is wonderful. Nature is incredible. The structure, the texture, the color of plants, it goes a long way.
Mm-hmm. When you talk about talking to your plants, do you think that plants have a way of hearing and responding to human beings?
Definitely. If you have 2 plants, curse one and praise one. After some few months, go back. The one you are cursing will not do well. And the one you are praising and you are nurturing will continue to blossom. That is nature.
What is the psychology in that? How? Could you explain deeper how this is?
When you study the life of naturalists, you will see, number one thing you notice about them is they surround themselves with nature. And what do I mean? Plants, animals, you see butterflies, birds coming, like my house now. Every morning by 5 a.m., I used to be woken up by the noise of birds. They come around making different kind of noise, and I look out, wow, beautiful birds coming into mine. So I feel relaxed. So that's what I'm saying, that naturalists surrounded themselves with plants, and it brings a lot of spiritual and natural aura to them.
Why did you go into gardening? And when did you start?
I went into gardening. I have a passion about gardening. I was passionate about it. And then I started by collecting plants right from my primary school days. So a friend of mine just told me that this was my uncle, a professor in UI, This is what it does. Then why can't you commercialize it? Then I increase the tempo, begin to collect, selling. The one I so much in love and very scarce, I keep them. So that's how I started about 30 something years ago. Let's say precisely 40 years ago.
And how's the business been?
Is that
How is the business of gardening been?
yeah, it's not bad. It's not bad, despite the fact that the economy is biting hard. There's a lot of inflation there. Gardening is something that once you understand it and you position yourself and you know your audience, definitely you cannot lack. You make a living and you live well.
In this 30-something years of being a gardener, would you say that Nigerians have a good appreciation of nature compared with counterparts in other parts of the world?
I will give Nigeria, let's say 2%.
2%?
Yes.
2 out of 100.
Even
That is
less,
zero.
even less than 2%, because most people that love gardens, they are among the affluents. Certain percentage of the affluents. Somebody who cannot afford 3 square meals will not think about gardening, will not think about having plants in his home. So it is common among the affluents, even very few among them. Those people that actually love nature, those people actually understand what nature meant, those people that have traveled far and they have seen the beauty of plants. So when they come back home, they want to improve their garden, they want to improve their homes. They call on us professionals, we advise them, this is what you have to have in your backyard garden, this is for your frontage garden, this is for your bedroom, this is for your this and that. Some just pick interest and they keep on collecting. There are some of our clients, some people out there that they even have more collections than we professionals. So I would say it's a function of passion, and then also when you believe in something, you go for it.
When you believe in something, you go for it.
Yeah.
Also, this 2% that you've given to Nigerians, I find it very alarming. And you are correct. You are correct. But can something be done about it to educate Nigerians, to enlighten them on the need to have plants around them? And they don't have to be expensive ones, do they?
No. We can encourage them by stepping up the advocacy, having radio, television program like what you're doing now, and also telling them the benefit of plants. Not only using plants to decorate, we have vegetables, we have medicinal plants that you can take first thing in the morning. I have a garden, I have an opposite garden there, where I take pawpaw every morning. And I take herbs to nourish my nerves and veins. Just boil them and then take them first thing in the morning and then last thing in the evening.
And you look fantastic. Do you mind if I ask your age?
I'm over 60.
Can you believe that? No, I mean, your tummy is not bulging. You're looking so smart, so lean, so good, fresh. Your skin is not cracking. Of course, black don't crack, but you look so good. And that can be and must be attributed to the nature that you surround yourself with and that you ingest every morning.
Definitely. I could vividly recollect that recollected that some years back, I used to fall sick. But when I embraced nature, taking all this up regularly, I've not patronized my doctor for over 12 years. But before, there was no month I will not go to the hospital. At times, my wife will rush me in the night to the hospital. But since I've been taking all these medicinal plants in proportion, I've nothing like headache, nothing like malaria, nothing like anything. Everything is intact.
Okay.
And I feel very strong.
Very strong. Well, at this point, I would have to ask for a tour of your garden. And this is just part of the gardens that you have. You have Shodex, and then this is your house, and you have another garden just opposite your house. So I would love us to have a tour of your gardens. Is that okay?
It is okay by me.
All right. But time has come for us to take a tour of his gardens to see these beautiful flowers he surrounded himself with all these years, and also some that he takes early in the morning to fix his system, which have helped him to look this good and this healthy over 60 years of age. Let's go, guys.
Pawpaw. You can see this one is ripe. If you don't mind, I can get you this one. This is what I take every morning.
Oh, wow.
So, madam, this is for you.
Thank you. My papa.
You have my fan, different kind of fan. See, these are my collections. I'm still planning to improve on the garden anyway.
It's been a beautiful tour of Mr. Shola Adekoya's garden, and I hope with a program such as this today on One and One, you've been inspired to go set up a garden. You have no excuse. Do not say you do not have space. He has said you can use your windows, your walls. Which other places did you say they can, use?
Your bathroom.
Your bathrooms.
Your
kitchen.
Your sitting room. Your balcony.
Surround yourself with nature. Nature is beautiful. It is healing. The colors and everything that comes with it. I am Maureen Menong-Wezigwe. Many thanks for being a part of One on One today. Thank you so much for being our guest.
Thank you for having me.
See you next time.
You're welcome.
he have to lose? Now, hold that thought. If his kids and his family are residents of that state and there's a problem, what do you think he would do? It doesn't matter his tribe. It doesn't matter his region. That's his home. So you can't post people where they have no affinity, no family association. And that's because of this indigenization concept, I believe. You have Igbo kids, I would say, grow up in the north. They don't call themselves northerners, but they're more northerners than Igbo. Where is their productivity coming from? For me, I simply believe that if we are able to do so, then you can see Igbos, you can see Yorubas that are in the north say, this is where I'm from. They participate locally, they participate nationally, but in that interest of their organizational behavior, not necessarily this geographical land called Southwest.
But sometime in the past, in our history, we had people who were not from particular ethnic groupings residing there and even running for public office and being voted for successfully.
It's not illegal, but it's impracticable.
But what went wrong? It seems we don't trust ourselves.
Possibly.
Or we're suspicious of each other.
Well, to me, on my own capacity, I believe that's that vacuum of leadership. Because based on my experience, when you say this vacuum of leadership, it's not that somebody is not occupying that seat. But when you have someone unqualified in a position that has nothing to offer, they feed on your fears. When you have an unqualified leader as the governor of a state, they will tell the locals that the foreigners are taking their jobs. Now, without those foreigners, would those jobs exist in the first place? What kind of jobs are we talking about? So it boils down to leadership at the end of the day, regardless. I think every other issue we're identifying as symptoms of a problem. I like using local examples. If you have a stream that is polluted, it's like water fountain falling down and it's polluted. Where do you start treating the water?
From the top.
You have to start from the top. Regardless of what you do on the bottom, the dirty water still comes down. We have to go all the way upstream. Is it going to be overnight? Absolutely not. But it has to be a buy-in from all stakeholders. Without that, I think we're just rubbing Band-Aid on the issues.
Now, you see, I want to dwell a bit more on the role of the youth in nation building. Historically, those who emerged as leaders were young people at some point, some of them even getting elected to the House of Representatives or even the Senate at 23, 25 and all that. And we even had a head of state who who got married in office and he was in his early 30s. Today, the people in that age grouping seem to be so disillusioned that what we keep hearing most of the time is about them, some of them, not all of them, but the ones that are very popular are those who engage in internet fraud, popularly or called Yahoo and all that, or who just want to get rich quickly. Do you think if the National Youth Service program were overhauled, there could be something in it for the youth to assist them in looking forward to a very good future of service?
The question you hit on, the way I would tackle it is I look at things differently. One key thing is I try to look at things, it's easy to look at things from a first and second person perspective. But to push it a notch, also try to look at it from the third and the fourth person perspectives where you don't see the people that would benefit from your actions. To me, I see the fraudster as a very intelligent person that is misdirected. It's not easy to scam people out of their money. Now imagine that same fraudster in a lab somewhere working on some research. It's misdirection.
Yeah.
The youth of this country, which I believe I'm still a part of, is lack of direction that bothers us. Now, I can blame us for not taking charge. I'm not saying we're lack of blame, but it translates from the fact that we've sold our souls to cash. In Igbo, there's a proverb, it might lose meaning in translation, which says, if you tell a kid what it takes to be successful, he would rather be poor.
Say it first in Igbo.
Okay, what it just means, if you tell a poor person what it takes to be successful, he would rather be poor. The problem with that is people look at success as money. That's a literal translation. But it's a proverb, which means it's not supposed to be a literal translation. Now, if you flip it, that word success could be anything. It could be being a great father. It could be being a mentor, being a teacher that graduates all your students of your class and make sure that they advance. It could be anything. It could be a businessman that takes care of people. It could be an orphanage that gets kids placed. That's success. But what is success to the average person today? How much money is in your bank account? I'm not taking away the merits of economics, but the point is that we have translated success as cash. And if you translate it as cash and I don't have a job, I'm going to do whatever means necessary to get cash because that's what we've translated success to be. And at the end of the day, it boils down to direction, misdirection, I would say, lack of leadership. Growing up, the adage used to be, walk before you run. Technology makes it, you don't necessarily need to walk, you can run. Communication has been hastened, but are we really following? I don't think we are. Look at internet penetration in the country. I wouldn't say it's where it is currently. I believe investment in technology, absolutely. I don't think we are where we are technologically to be able to do anything else. But technology should play a role, and that's where the youths are involved. Mass communication is easy now. You can literally reach masses with a tweet. It matters. But also, it comes with its own problems. Fake news.
Fake news.
Fake news destroys more than bullets because it poisons minds. So as much as I'm very pro-technology, I believe in technology that is checked also. That's where I am. Everything that has a positive also has a negative. We have to be in the in-between.
Still talking technology, you know, I know that, for instance, in our space, the media space, a lot has happened. You have more people now who watch stuff online than like 10 years ago. Or like even than 3 years ago. But you find that most people still need to subscribe to pay before they can use certain apps and all that. Is it just because it's here in Nigeria and the cost of data and all that?
I wouldn't really say it's because it's Nigeria. I think it's an economic model. If I build a platform, it's all purely economics. I wouldn't fault someone if they make something free or if they make something to pay. I think if you make yours to pay, it creates me an opportunity to have one that is for free. So for me, I don't think that is our problem. I just don't think that our governments, I'm not specific to any
level.
I'm not saying general. I actually prefer to call him general. I don't think his government is at fault in terms of technology penetration or anything like that. What I just think, we don't have a roadmap to be inclusive. What is our rural technology plan? You go to some places, there's no cell reception. But other countries now are making sure that everybody's online to be able to be reached for whatever reason it is. Where we're going with technology, honestly, I don't even think that's the first step. I think we just don't have a roadmap. And personally, I religiously believe for us to get anything right, we have to go back to the drawing board to define this entity called Nigeria, because it's not working.
We'll continue with that definition very soon. We'll take a break now.
Thank you.
So welcome back to the program. Alfred is still my guest. Yes, Alfred. You said something about a roadmap. What kind of roadmap do you want to develop?
For me, my objective is I would like to create a roadmap where where an opportunity that will help us define this entity. For me, having met a lot of people in this country, having been to a lot of places in this country, and I've taken pride of going to about 34 states in this country by road.
By road?
Yes. And the beauty about that is you see how beautiful this country can be. My love for this country has no relationship with being north or south. I just look at it from a potential perspective. And it's sad when you see talent being wasted. I feel privileged on my own to have been able to be sent to the kind of school I was sent to by my parents, to have the privilege to go to a different country. But how do we implement that back home?
But that's your trip
Yes.
to 34 states
Yes.
by road.
Mm-hmm.
Give me like 2 takeaways.
This country is beautiful.
This country is what?
It's beautiful.
That's one.
Yes. The potential of it, the potential is massive. But it also shows me that what unites us is way bigger than what divides us.
That's deep.
Our similarities are way more than our divisions. Our divisions are probably language, religion.
Yeah.
How does that stop us from integrating? But the unification possibilities that we have in this country are huge,
Yeah.
humongous.
In about, say, 50 years, if that were possible, how would you forecast Nigeria would be?
First of all, now I want to go back to walking before we run.
Ah, okay.
Okay, because just like Wi-Fi technology, somewhere at the back, there is a cable. I don't think we can progress the way the system is set up. I do not believe so. Because if you look at a typical Nigerian, you see eyes filled with hopelessness, and that is a problem. If you bring a typical Nigerian that's probably not from what we'd call the middle class or the upper class and whatnot, what is their hope? What are they looking forward to? When you identify the word Nigeria to them, what does it mean? To me, it's hopelessness, and that is the drive.
But how do we address this?
We have to sell hope back.
Sell hope back?
Yes.
How?
By redefining Nigeria. I'm not saying it's... Number one is, if it was easy, it would be a cakewalk. It would be a child's play. I'm not saying that what we desire to get, that what we desire to want to do is, it's not supposed to be easy. But I see a Nigeria where if a Yoruba boy is good in solar technology, we should ship him out to the northwest. No, northeast. If an Igbo boy is good in agriculture, we send him out to the northwest. If an outside kid happens to be one of the best petrochemical engineers that graduated, he has no business in the north. He should be in the south-south. Vice versa. There are so many. The beauty of this country is its diversity. Southwest doesn't have everything. Southeast doesn't have everything. The north doesn't have everything. So we have to break down those barriers to make everyone feel at home, that this is home, so that we're in the southwest, so that a Yoruba kid could wake up and go to Kaduna and meet their residency laws and be a Yoruba person from Kaduna. His interest is now in Kaduna. I don't see how that affects his tribe. But for us to progress, for him to be able to do that, which is what I believe will progress us. Now, this is not something that you say, this is a magic one, let's do this and Nigeria will be better. No, do I expect resistance? Absolutely. But I just hope that my generation will realize that our parents failed us.
That's unfair.
That's our reality. But more challenging that we don't fail our kids.
I want to challenge you.
Please go ahead.
Your generation cannot say that your parents' generation failed you.
They're the leaders.
But they gave you education. They sent
What
you
kind
to
of
school.
education?
They exposed you.
I've met mass comm students that have never touched the camera. I've met computer engineers that have never had a laptop. I have met pharmacists that have probably, no, I haven't met pharmacists, but I'm mostly in my technological space. But I have met graduates that only studied what the school offered them.
They didn't have a practical side to it.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
I have met someone that desired to, one of my sisters desired to be a pharmacist, but the school she never got a school that offered her that. Actually, now it's automatic for me that if you tell me you studied something of biological sciences, I believe you wanted to be a doctor. That you just couldn't get medicine. That education is flawed. The education we have here is a certificate. It's not practical.
So that's not just about the parents, because some of your group are already in the educational system.
Well,
So maybe that takes us back to your leadership failure mantra.
science teaches us. I read a book by Marcus Aurelius that said, every complex problem, simplify it. When I study Nigeria from my own lens, from my capabilities, which I want to believe is different from a whole lot of people, if I were to simplify it, it narrows down to leadership. What is the job of a leader? To give direction. Why is this road bad? The road being bad is not the problem, it's why is it actually bad? If we narrow it down, whose job is it to do? If you narrow it all the way down, you could do with budgeting, you could do with enforcement, you could do with a whole lot of things. But for me, the leadership vacuum happens to be our whole problem. And I pray and hope that my generation would understand that the only way out of this is to play inclusive politics. But not just playing inclusive politics, the objective should be first, let's redefine this entity called Nigeria in our own terms, where we will all believe that it's home.
Okay, so inclusive politics. Let's talk politics a bit.
Please.
But I will relate it to something about development. Growing up, I know that sports was used as a tool
Yes.
to harness the boundless energies of youngsters. And there was something you could predict. Oh, this guy, send him to go and learn swimming. This one, train him in track and field and all that. And then, of course, football. How is our sports field like now, as a young person?
We're a sports-loving nation, football-loving nation.
What does that mean?
I want to believe that we are all into the European Premier League,
Yes,
English Premier League. Whenever they're playing, we know everything. What is ours? What teams do we have? What is you hear about our female soccer stars come back and they're not paid. You hear about our athletes go to perform to come back and they're not being paid. What is the motivation to represent this country? That is on the professional side. What is the growth plan? We don't have stadiums. When I was in primary school between 1991 and 1996, there's always inter-house sports. Every year there is an inter-house sports. You look forward to it. We compete with each other. How relevant is that now in harnessing the capabilities of the youth? We're soccer-loving nations. How many mini soccer pitches would you say you have? I'm sure you travel, you go to the UK, which is also a soccer-loving nation. You drive within neighborhoods. How many soccer pitches would you see? It doesn't have to be massive, but you see people practicing. Growing up in the States, we're more basketball and American football. You see basketball rims in virtually every county. You don't need anybody else to just go and practice. I believe sports on its own, even the income it will generate for this government, for the system, but let's not even focus on the income. Let's focus on the human capacity development. But we're not doing anything about it. What are the ministries doing to say, let's find the future stars of tomorrow and harness them? You look at, unfortunately, because of COVID, nobody is really looking at Olympics 2021. But I remember in 1996 in the Olympics, you can identify more than 20 Nigerian names born in Nigeria, not born abroad, born in Nigeria, that naturalized on different countries, just so that they will have the opportunity to participate. Why should that be the case? We are pushing away doctors. We're pushing away lawyers. We're pushing away professors. And in the same space, other people are coming in. Who are those people? Do they see this place more as a home than we do? I don't know. I don't have the answer. But I genuinely believe that running away isn't the solution. But I can share their pain. I can share the pain of a 21-year-old or a 22-year-old that's probably the oldest in their family with no job, with a supposed degree and no job. What is he or she supposed to do? The parent might be retired without a pension. Is someone being penalized? You see a government official or a pension commissioner or whatever loot the pension. I'm particular about the pension because that is the livelihood of families. What happens to him or her? What is this down effect of those? What is the downstream effect of ruining the pension system?
That's the kind of thing that will lead me to ask you about the impact of discipline. That's personal and corporate discipline. In our society, everything seems to have fallen apart.
You can relate it to, I honestly can't even say it's one thing. I genuinely believe we have sold our souls to the concept of cash. Cash is king. Whatever you have to do to make money. I have zero problem with economics. I have zero problem with the pursuit of your happiness. I actually religiously believe that. And if I get the opportunity, what I want to sell people is more strength in your pursuit of happiness, whatever your happiness might be. I can't make you to do good things, but I can punish you for doing bad. The limits to where we have decayed as a nation, I can't put a hand to where it is. But I can say it started from the erosion of the local governments.
Okay, but then what about the home? What about the home? Discipline starts in the home.
Yes, discipline starts in the home. And let's say, for example, a mother is supposed to discipline a child. Fair enough. Is the mother at home? Where is she? What if she's working? What system do we have? I don't think it's a one-size-fits-all. I do genuinely believe that, yes, family plays a huge part in a child's upbringing. But for me to judge a parent, I have to know where you're coming from.
In trying to know where they're coming from,
yes,
you must also try to understand, what the basic thresholds are for us as a society. What's acceptable in our society today?
Everything goes.
Then we're not going anywhere.
That's the decay we have. Let's use driving, for example.
Yes.
How do drivers here behave?
What's the punishment?
There's no price to pay. But the same person, would they do that in front of the cantonment gates? The same driver that would come here, double park, block the road, no care about the backup of traffic or whatever, run a red light, would they do the same in front of the cantonment gates where the military are? Price and punishment.
Well, so then it's
there's no price to pay for anything goes in Nigeria today.
I believe that even the individual should be able to say, this is beneath me, I'm not going to do it.
But then you're taking away the concept of being human. As human beings, we will do whatever we'll get away with. If not, there wouldn't be laws. The law is there to enforce what we desire as a society.
So now, imagine a young person, whether a person, let's not say is young or old, a person who wants to be involved in politics but who has no personal scruples and all that. What kind of politician is that going to be?
That's a tough one.
Yes, it is.
Because it's intrinsic. My motivation didn't come from anybody. My motivation came when I realized that I mustn't be the king. I mustn't be the number one. Because speaking with my colleagues, speaking with a bunch of friends, speaking with people I believe that are opportuned, the bigger problem that we have, I don't know if it's a black problem, but the biggest problem we have, nobody wants to be willing to pay the ultimate price. Nobody wants to do anything they will not enjoy the benefits of it. Nobody wants to start anything that they will not live to enjoy, which is a big problem because life has a weird sense of humor.
Yeah.
I could start something, and Martin Luther King, did he see the civil rights he fought for?
No, he didn't.
It actually got propelled after his death. So do you think his wife was happy about that? I bet you not. She wants her husband, probably. I don't know her, but I want to assume that she wants her husband. For me, like I said, the itch that is itching me is a selfish interest. Very selfish. It just happens to be that this is home. I'm not doing it because I love anybody else. I'm not doing it because I love the people. I'm doing it because I want my home to be better.
You want your home to be better. You want your people to
And
be better.
if you're an occupant of my home, your benefit.
Okay, so now let's localize it. You're from Imo. You schooled in Enugu, more or less grew up in Enugu. But what you would like to do, your circumstances will prevent you from being able to do it in Enugu. That's the truth?
Like I said, it's, for me, let me just say something. I hope it doesn't take us away.
Yeah, we're
I think
still
a
there.
few years back, Abia State was created from Imo. But the Abia State governor told the Imo State teachers or something to go home. I had a problem with that. These are people that have lived there all their lives. But that's the issue that we're talking about. Enugu State and Anambra, this indigenization concept of somebody telling you you're not from here. How can you tell someone that have lived in a place all their lives that they're not from there? There are Igbo people in Lagos that are more Igbo than some Yoruba people that probably have never lived in Lagos. My wife was born and brought up in Lagos. She speaks more Yoruba than Igbo. You would actually think she's more Yoruba until you probably hear her name and last name and whatnot. To me, my Nigeria, and I'm internalizing it because it might not be someone else's, and I believe there should be diversity of opinions. There should be diversity of minds. We should not all agree. In my Nigeria, she's a Lagosian.
Yeah, she is.
Lagos is a little different.
No, but she's a Lagosian.
Okay.
She is a Lagosian.
And yeah, an Igbo person from Lagos.
Yes.
That's my Nigeria.
That's who
the
she
way I
is.
want to say it. Well, I'm not sure that's how it is applicable in the whole country. Though.
Well, you said Lagos. That's how it is in Lagos.
No,
I can say
Lagos
that.
is one
and you
out
have
of 36.
experienced it.
Yes.
So, but what I'm saying is that if it happened that in Imo, no, not Imo, now in Enugu, where you grew up,
Yes.
right? You can't come out to run
Yes.
for, say, Senate.
The local sentiment.
Yes. They say,
Is
no,
that
he's
you're
not
not-
one of us.
No.
How do we prevent that? That's people saying that.
And that's when
That's
words,
not government now. That's people.
Yes, sir. That's when words matter. That's when psychological matter. That's when orientation matters. Because when you look at a document, it says states of origin. You didn't ask me where I reside. That state of origin could be lack of our documentation processes because they're trying to verify a whole lot of things, but it has a gravid effect. Because if all we know is a state of residence, then you should never bring up Imo. You can ask me
Or
place
even
of
state
birth.
of birth.
Yes.
Yes.
If we focus on that, that's the thing about time. It might not be my generation. But my grandchildren, when they grow up, they'll look at their friends and, where were you born? Then we can have that mindset that it doesn't matter where somebody's from. The America we look up to, George Bush is from Texas. His younger brother is from Florida. Obama was born in Hawaii. He was the senator from Chicago. I forgot where Hillary Clinton was born, but she's the senator from New York.
Yes.
It doesn't matter because these states define their residency laws. And the moment you meet those residency laws, you're a resident. That's where you're from. That you were born in America, you're an American citizen, not a state resident. You have to actually reside in the states and meet their residency laws to be a resident of that state. I moved from Boston to Georgia. I'm no longer a Boston resident. I have zero business with Boston anymore. Now I'm a resident of Georgia. Whatever I want to do, if I want to run U.S. local politics, I can only run it in Georgia now. Even though I've lived there less than a year, because I met their residency laws. So it's the downtrodden, it's the psychological effect of words. It matters. If you keep asking me state of origin, the word origin means something. You didn't ask me place of birth. You didn't even ask me if I've gone there. What does it matter? Ask me where I'm born. Ask me where I reside. If you don't have my father's documentation, how is that my problem? But I genuinely believe that word, state of origin and state of, I believe that word, state of origin, should be scrapped.
Okay.
It has a
The
negative
concept
effect.
of state of origin should be scrapped.
I genuinely believe that.
Okay, well, before it is scrapped, I know that your state of origin is Imo.
Yes.
It's Imo.
Yes.
Now, so your parents are from Imo, so you have some very deep affinities with Imo.
Absolutely.
All right, so looking at Imo State today,
Yes.
what role do you think, not what role, Imo State today,
Yes.
what are its potentials?
I have taught the states, even for economic possibilities, when I was running my company here. Just like every other state in the country, in this country, which I believe is blessed, it's blessed with youth. And no nation can run without youth. It's just direction of energy. Where are you directing that energy towards?
So there's youth.
Youth is the power, is the will. The Chinese population and all that, if they get into their 60s now, that becomes a liability. It's that youth from, I would say, for lack of a better word, 16 to maybe 45 or something, that productive youth. The state is blessed with youth. Abundance, natural resources and whatnot. They're just not being harnessed. Now, I don't want to say is this administration or that administration. As a collective, we don't have the kind of leadership we desire or we deserve.
That's generally and then particularly in Imo State. Now, what do you think the youth can do in this particular case of Imo State?
Well, if I isolate it, I think it's going to be rolled out and everything because it's the same. But if we trace back a little bit to the end SARS movement, what I got out of that movement is the power of organization. Now, I'm not talking about the end results or what started it, but the power when people come together. What I believe was wrong with it was the direction of the movement. Okay, how, strategy, bullet points, a figurehead. You can't run anything without a figurehead. But let it be a sample, a test sample of how things come up. What I love about what happened is the potential. When people come together, what can happen? And whatever can happen to Imo State can happen to Enugu, can happen to Ogun, Ondo, everywhere. Nigeria is blessed with youth. I'm not 100 on the numbers, but I think about 40 to 60% of the Nigerian population are youths. If we grade it from the 18 to 45 or something, are youths.
Yeah.
Productive youths.
Yeah.
Are we taking advantage of what is our unemployment population? It's skyrocketing now. So for me, I want to say it's unfortunate because You can't say I want to build road when someone is hungry. You can't say I want to do this, build hospital, when someone is not even eating. I think we have a microeconomic problem. And that we have leaderships that don't understand the importance of small-term wins.
Okay. So what kind of small-term wins would you suggest in the case of Imo?
A hypothetical.
Yes, hypothetical, yes.
A hypothetical, if I were to run Imo States, number one would be, how do I put food on the table of citizens? It could be a welfare. It could be, give me your documentation. We have NIN now, we have BVNs now, where I find out the people that are not, the population that are not working, maybe the first week, 2 weeks, mini handout just to be able to be sure that people have something to eat. You create a skill acquisition program whereby after 3 months for this to continue, you must go somewhere to get a skill. When you come out of that, I have to also be prepared to be able to offer you something. It could be a credit to start whatever it is you're good at.
Yeah.
But it is very hard to talk to a hungry person. And when people are hungry, you could, and I think that's why stomach infrastructure politics works. And I think that's why our politicians today take advantage of it. When people are hungry, they can do anything to eat. Short-term solution will be putting food on the table. Now, that's the end result. How we go about that. We don't have social programs. Who takes care of the disabled? If someone is genuinely disabled doesn't mean when you have, it could be psychological. It could be emotional, it could be a mental problem. You're disabled. Who takes care of those people? Are they not citizens?
Yes, they are.
What plans do we have for them? Is it when we see them roaming on the streets and then naked trying to eat out of the gutter that we think they have, we call this a mad person? No. It could be a psychological problem that probably just needs health care.
Okay.
Yes.
We'll take another break now. We'll be back. So welcome back to Timeless Conversations with Alfred Okoro as my guest. So Alfred, we're talking politics now.
Yes, sir.
Politics, young people are not participating.
No.
Why?
We have political parties not based on ideology. I'm speaking from my
go ahead.
experience,
I mean,
and I want to
qualified.
believe a lot of people share the same sentiment. What really is the difference between APC and PDP?
Title.
Half of the governors from PDP have migrated to APC. What is their ideology? I do not believe we have ideology-based politics. Now, the problem, because I haven't played in that politics, could be completely different, but it doesn't exist. You can't say that PDP is conservative and that APC is liberal. You cannot say that. Even though I believe that a party should both have a liberal and conservative arms of it, depending on the geographical region, whereby one party, even let's use APC for example, the northern part of the country are more conservative than the southern part. So I would expect APC members in the north to be more conservative than APC members in the south. But people do not participate because they do not believe in the message. I was here in 2015 when Baba's election. I am not going to lie, I have never been around in a time where people were filled with hope. Maybe it turned out to just be a marketing gimmick. It's not just about me directly, but where is those promises? And for me personally, I voted for General Buhari. Yeah, maybe I think what we have is President Buhari, but what I voted for was the general that was going to instill discipline in us, that was going to bring us this military structure. I'm not sure I'm sure there are so many things that I do not know that is transpiring, but I don't think we are getting the short end of it.
Well, quite to be fair to the government, they're building some infrastructure, fixing some interstate and federal
One
roads.
credit I would give this government is on macroeconomics. I'm not an economist, so my words might be a little different, but I think I flew into Abuja and I was impressed with the airport. Apart from that, this government, the huge credit I would give to them is from 1999, this is the only government that continued the previous administration's projects, that never abandoned them. Even if they didn't come up with brand new ones on their own, there are no ghost projects. That was very common in our politics,
Oh, yes.
whereby this governor starts this road. Oh, because it's not me that started it, I don't want to give credit to this, I'm not going to. And you see that on the social media scheme, whereby the PDP sympathizers, when a railroad is completed or something, they're like, but he didn't start it. So what? To me, personally, I give them kudos on the macro level. But I'm not sure they get a pass on the micro level, and which is food on the table of everyday Nigerians. And I believe the general that people were clamoring for was the man of the people. I'm sure, like I said, it's not a criticism, but if we are to assess, I think on the micro level, I think we got the short end of the stick, if we were to look at it from that perspective.
So let's flip back to the youth now.
Yes.
Why, how do we get them interested?
We need to resell the youth on this entity called Nigeria, because I do not genuinely feel that they believe in this project.
Well, you still fall within that category, youth. So how would you sell the entity Nigeria to your fellow compatriots?
By selling them authenticity, by selling them genuineness, and by sensitization. Because it's easy to fall apart when you don't believe people, and we don't believe our politicians. Where someone, please allow me to backtrack a little bit. During the COVID,
Yes.
there was a lockdown, and there was the riots, and people busted into a factory. The word became a social media meme, palliatives. How can we justify that? Food that was destined for the populace was being hoarded by politicians. How can I justify that? We're talking about food. Forget the money. We are talking about food.
Yes.
And people are supposed to quarantine. So let's use the people that are working in hospitals, in hotels. So that means no money.
Yes.
Let's call the transporters. That means no money. Maybe the people the bankers, maybe banks are big enough or structured enough that they could still be paying their staff. But let's talk about the undocumented, the people that feed off of the everyday income. How are they supposed to abide by that lockdown in place? I'm not arguing the lockdown because of the epidemic. There is supposed to be a lockdown. But how are they supposed to survive? So then the word on the street came that there were this food, but some politicians stocked it. How can you justify that? Yeah, maybe not everybody wants to stick their neck out, which I can understand. The role is not for everybody.
So now, let's fast track.
Okay.
Sell Nigeria.
This is home. Nowhere like home. And all it's going to take is for us to get together. All it's going to take is for us to believe in the project. And if we believe in the Nigeria project, we define our Nigeria, not my Nigeria. Maybe my is not the word, because the word I want to use is my Nigeria, internalizing it for your own personal, not someone else's, your Nigeria. What is it you desire Nigeria to be? How do you create that? We need to resell this project, this entity. I genuinely believe that what else would they believe? There is nowhere else to go. This is home. It's just that home is not habitable.
Let me ask you this final question.
Yes, sir.
Is there hope for Nigeria?
Absolutely.
Show me.
We just need to get the right hands. And I'm sorry, even though it's your right question, I think people don't understand what the word change means. People got caught up with the change mantra, saying, we voted for change, we didn't get it. No. Change is a continuum. That we changed and didn't get it doesn't mean that we stop. If a female goes to a hair salon and gets a bad hairdresser, does she stop making her hair?
No.
She tries another hairdresser. Why is it that when we change a politician and they're bad, we give up? We change them. One of the reasons why I loved APC winning was that concept of change. It's not about the results. But if we can get the mindset that we can change people when they underperform, in the long term, it's going to be great for us. I believe in this country. It's not about anything else, but it's not a me thing. And I understand somebody that's not getting psyched up about the project. It's fine. That creates work. If it was easy, everybody would be doing it. It's not meant to be easy.
So you're saying they should believe in change?
We should believe in the word change, not who spoke it. We should believe that change means that we have to keep trying until we get it right.
And we do that every election?
Every election, we have to participate. We must participate. I do not think that the parties currently existing are ideology-based, but we can change it from the outside. You can only change it from the inside.
Thank you very much, Alfred, for your time.
It's a pleasure.
I've had timeless conversations with Alfred Okoro. Next time, we'll bring you another interesting talk session. Bye-bye.
For upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria.
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Buki November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on Plus TV Africa.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
Good afternoon. I am Maureen Menong-Wezigwe, and this is News Brief. Bandits abducted no fewer than 10 students of Government Secondary School Awon, a day secondary school in Kachia local government area of Kaduna State on Monday. Kaduna State Commissioner for Ministry of Internal Security and Home Affairs, Samuel Arunwa, confirmed this in a statement on Tuesday. The commissioner said the state government received a preliminary report from security agencies regarding the kidnap of the students. According to the report, Arunwa said the exact location of the incident is yet to be ascertained. He said detailed reports were being awaited to clarify whether the incident occurred within the school premises or elsewhere. And Honorable Ayuba Nuhu Abak, the impeached Speaker of the Plateau State House of Assembly, who was reinstated on Monday, has resumed office to continue with his responsibilities for the state. Honorable Abak was reinstated following a judgment delivered by Plateau High Court presided over by Justice Nafisa Musa. He resumed office as early as 9 o'clock today in what is generally regarded as a move to take over his mandate. The reinstated speaker, who spoke with newsmen on Tuesday morning in his office, assured the security agencies that they are going to be peaceful in their responsibilities without any fight.
Welcome, Mr. Speaker. Thank you very much. It's good to be back. Yes, my member. Congratulations to democracy. Welcome, Mr. Speaker. Yes, it's good to be back. It's good to be back for Plateau. We are so happy, so delighted that the judgment has been given, the firmness of the judiciary, and today we are coming in peace. We are going to continue with the normal duties of the Plateau State House of Assembly. We are not going to fight. There's nothing, there's no rancor, there's not any fight. We are going to work. We were elected to work for Plateau State and we will continue to work for Plateau State. All we need is Plateau State to progress. God bless the Speaker.
Zuba Magistrates Court in Abuja has remanded in prison one Mr. Obiajulu Uja, the middle-aged who said the president-elect Bola Tinubu would never be sworn in as president on May 29th. Uja, who was arraigned before the court, had in a viral video on an aircraft made these sensitive comments. He was forcefully evacuated from the aircraft. According to the court papers, Uja was charged with public nuisance, resistance to a lawful arrest, threatening violence, and conduct likely to cause a breach of peace. The court would on April 6th hear his bail application. The Lagos High Court sitting at the Tafawa Balewa Square, Lagos Island, has dismissed a no-case submission filed by the suspended Assistant Superintendent of Police, Drambi Vendi, who allegedly killed a Lagos-based lawyer, Omobolanle Rahim, on December 25th of 2022. Justice Ibironke Harrison ordered the defendant to open his defense as a prima facie. In his application on the no-case submission, Vendi had asked the court to dismiss the suit and discharge him, claiming that he has no case to answer. The prosecution, led by the Attorney General of Lagos State, Moyosore Onibanjo, SAN, had however countered Vendi's arguments, insisting that the prosecution had successfully made its case against him. Lieutenant General Farouk Yahaya says it is on record that Nigeria recorded its highest rating in the fight against terrorism in 2022 since 2011 till date. He said the efforts in Operation Hadin Kai, in synergy with the sister services and other security agencies, had significantly curtailed terrorism and insurgency that hitherto bedeviled the northeast part of the country, as continuous injection of trained troops and special equipment through operations Lake Sanity and Desert Sanity to complement efforts by OPHK has been rewarding.
The peaceful conduct of general elections across the country, including in the southeast, despite the sense of insecurity created by criminal elements in the region, is a testament to our resolve to ensure security in the entire nation. Our additional efforts through Joint Task Force Operation Udoka paid off in the southeast, thus ensuring successful election in the region as well. Even though long before the actual election, IPOP and ESN and their supporters have threatened that there would be no elections in the zone. Let me state here that elections or no elections, neither IPOP, ESN, nor any other groups or individuals should threaten the integrity of this nation as enshrined in the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
A former president of the Nigerian Bar Association, Olisa Bakoba SAN, has called for the speedy dispensation of the presidential election petitions. Abakoba said the speedy outcome will be a strategy against the plot of an interim government. The DSS had confirmed the plot by some key political players to install an interim government. Abakoba listed 3 keys in the presidential election petitions, which he said were resolvable by the application of procedural orders and or directions. The Pan-Yoruba socio-political organization Afenifere has warned against any act that can jeopardize the handing over of power to elected officers on May 29, 2023. In a press release signed by the organization's National Publicity Secretary, Comrade Jare Ajayi, the group noted that there have been reports that may be prejudicial to the swearing-in of winners of the just concluded elections. Afenifere expressed concern about the untoward development, noting that it is gaining attention in the country and even outside the shores of the land. The federal government extends the deadline for cash withdrawal for security votes till April 15th. Nigerian Financial Intelligence Unit granted the extension to governors after intense negotiations. The April 15 extension will be ratified at a special meeting convened by the NFIU with the Nigerian Governors Forum and others virtually by 9 p.m. today. The Naira redesign and the controversies that followed it will also be discussed at the meeting. Governors might reject the short extension because they believe the agency lacks the power to determine how security votes should be disbursed. The All Progressive Congress in Delta State says those who purportedly expelled Ovio Omoagege, Deputy Senate President, from the party are allegedly imposters. An ESCO said to be led by Ulebo Isaac, a leader of a faction of the party in Delta, expelled Omoagege over anti-party activities. In a statement, Omeni Sobotie and Peter Akarugbe, Delta APC's chairperson and secretary, says the working committee they led is the authentic one, as they are inaugurated by the Mala Buni-led caretaker committee in February of 2022. They asked the security agencies to take note of the rascality and the unscrupulous intent to cause disharmony and a breach of public peace. The Labour Party has passed a vote of confidence on its national chairman, Julius Abure, following his alleged suspension by some members of the party. State executive members of the party who stormed the national headquarters of the Labour Party in Abuja described the suspension as a handiwork of imposters, sponsored by other political parties to destabilize the success recorded by the party. Some groups claiming to be Ward 3 executives of the party in Edo State had announced the suspension of the LP national chairman over allegations of forgery, perjury, mismanagement of funds, anti-party activities, among others. But the chairman of the Edo chapter of the party, Kelly Ogbolai, said the constitution of the party doesn't empower any group or party members to suspend a national officer who was elected by a national convention.
I foresee that they are being sent and sponsored by opposition political parties. And I don't want to mention the names of those parties here, who are afraid of the fortune, of the strength of the Labour Party. The Labour Party have become a very big movement and one family. Yes. That it will be difficult for any person to infiltrate. Yes. And I want to use this as an opportunity to tell them that they should have thought of a more decent way of doing it. But for this one, it's dead on arrival. And I can assure you of that. Like you have seen, my ward chairman is here. The ward register is here. None of those names is in the ward register. Those names are not even ASAN names. They are unknown to us. So I want to appreciate all of them. And I want to assure you that this is just the beginning. The party has come to stay. We'll continue to work for the party. We'll continue to move on. We are challenging the outcome of the presidential election and indeed all other elections. Yes, sir. Not even this distraction will distract us from pursuing it. It's a mandate that has been freely given to our people, to our party, and we shall not rest in our oars till we defend that mandate.
Several Nigerian youths converged on the headquarters of Nigeria's electoral body to show their support for the recently concluded elections. They say claims that elections were marred with irregularities are false, and calls for an interim national government are treasonable. They also called on aggrieved participants at all the polls to go to court to express their displeasure.
Around the country, inciting, calling for a taboo, which they call interim national government. That will never happen, not in Nigeria, not in any African country that we support. It is a taboo for anybody under any guise, alcohol or consumption, to rise up to call for interim government in this nation when we have INEC.
I want to thank you for the civil manner you have conducted yourselves. I want to assure you, on behalf of the management of Independent National Electoral Commission, that the message will be delivered to the chairman. And if we have need of getting back to you, we will do that in due course. INEC will do its almost best to continue doing what the law asks it to do, and Nigeria will be better.
The Lutheran Church of Christ in Nigeria, LCCN, through its Symbols of Hope project, is urging religious organizations, other stakeholders to complement government efforts towards discouraging illegal migration, human trafficking, and drug abuse in the country. Symbols of Hope coordinator Moses Peter made a call during the opening ceremony for the enrollment of 65 youth into skills acquisition and empowerment in Newman local government area of Adamawa State. According to him, the initiative is aimed at reducing the plight of returned migrants and victims of human trafficking in order to tackle the menace.
Christ in Nigeria, through this department alone, has so far empowered over 700 people, returned and potential migrants in different areas of life. Today, again, the church is empowering 65 young people across the country in different endeavors, ranging from plumbing and pipe fitting, carpentry and joinery, vulcanizing, mechanicals, hairdressing, electricals, computer accessories, fast food management, cake baking and catering services, barbing salon, tailoring and fashion designing, photography, and so on.
This program, Symbol of Hope, well, we are here to be empowered by the Symbol of Hope. They have shared so many stuff for us to help us as youth so that people won't take advantage of us, especially people that are trafficking youth, children out of the country for greener pastures, they call it.
This empowerment is very important to me because it will make me to become somebody important in life. My message for my fellow beneficiaries is that this opportunity shouldn't be taken for granted because it will help us in life to become someone. To the general public, we are calling on the general public to copy from Symbols of Hope project. They should also bring a program that will help youth to grow.
On the foreign scene, Tunisian President Kais Saied appeared in a video posted Monday on his official Facebook page dismissing what he described as mad reports over his health following almost 2 weeks with no public engagements. The North African country's main opposition coalition had pressed the government earlier to explain Said's public absence, saying it had information that he was sick. Said, 65, had not appeared in public or held any meetings since March of 2022, according to posts on Facebook. The presidency's only official channel of communication. The lack of statements or videos has sparked rumors over the state of Said's health. In his video, Said accused unnamed people of trying to create crisis by talking of a power vacuum. Said, who staged a dramatic power grab in July of 2021 and has since ruled by decree last year, rammed through a constitution giving his office unlimited powers and nurturing parliament. Since February, security forces have arrested over 20 public figures, including top members of the opposition. And at least one person has been killed and 30 injured when a passenger train carrying about 50 people derailed in the Netherlands after hitting a construction crane. The accident at Vosjeten, a village near The Hague, happened at around 3:25 a.m. Emergency services said 19 people were taken to hospitals Others were being treated at the scene, including the injured driver and 2 conductors. Jerome Wigan of ProRail, which maintains the rail, said several investigations had been initiated, including by the company itself, the police and the Dutch Safety Board, which looks into serious accidents. The U.S. military says a senior leader of the jihadist group Islamic State, ISIS Khalid Eid Ahmed al-Jabari, who was responsible for planning attacks in Europe, has been killed in a strike in Syria. He died in an undisclosed location, and that's according to U.S. Central Command. No civilians were said to have been killed or injured in the attack. The White Helmets organization tweeted that an unidentified drone fired a missile at the man on the outskirts of the town of Kili in Idlib province. U.S. Central Command says the death of Khalid al-Jabari will temporarily disrupt the ability of ISIS to plot external attacks. He did not mention any attacks or thwarted attacks that he was alleged to have planned. Russian ambassador to the United Nations held his first news briefing as president of the Security Council amid international criticism against Russia's Putin accused of war crimes. Ambassador Vasily Nebenzia, who assumed the charge, told reporters that as long as the current world order in the UN stands, there will be no change in the rules of procedure. He also rebutted accusations that Russia is threatening nuclear war.
Some countries are pretending they can decide at their own will who they want or do not want to be in the chair of the presidency of the Security Council. As long as the current world order with the UN and the Security Council stands, there will be no change in the rules of procedure. That we are spreading will be spreading, using the presidency to spread disinformation about Ukraine. That's a statement that is in vein of the Western narrative. One of the disinformation that the Western media and Western officials are spreading is the situation of Ukrainian children who were allegedly kidnapped from Ukraine and brought to Russia against their will. And this is just one aspect. But the Area Formula meeting, which I hope you will follow, is intended to dispel.
And in business news, the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission approves 173 digital lending applications to operate in the country. Of the 173, 119 have full approvals and 54 have conditional approvals. After loan apps started harassing Nigerians, the FCCPC began a registration drive to protect citizens from the atrocities of these apps. It released a limited interim regulatory registration framework and guidelines for digital lending 2022 to regulate the digital lending space and make registration and approval a prerequisite for companies seeking to operate in the space. Approved loan apps listed by the Commission include Branch International Financial Services Limited, Fair Money Microfinance Bank, Pivot Technology Limited, Ren Money Microfinance Bank Limited, Carbon Microfinance Bank Limited, Credit Wave Finance Limited, amongst others. And in entertainment, Burna Boy will make history come July when he becomes the first Nigerian artist to headline a U.S. stadium. Billboard exclusively have announced. His July 8 dated show at NYC's Citi Field marks another major stadium date in the Afrofusion Superstars Love Damini World Tour. Burna's most recent album, Love Damini, which peaked at number 2 on Billboard's World Albums chart and received a 2023 Grammy nomination for Best Global Music Album. And finally, in sports, top African countries including Ghana, Kenya, Uganda, the Gambia, Cameroon, Botswana, Liberia, Zambia, and host Nigeria will feature in the inaugural Pan-African Scrabble Association President's Cup. Adegbuson, PENASA president, explained that the event is open to all players from Nigeria, Africa, and the rest of the world, adding that it is one of his campaign's promises. The organizers of the event also said that 25 games will be played during the preliminary rounds of the competition. 5 rounds would hold in the semi-final, and 5 rounds will be decided in the final based on the Collins Scrabble Words 2021 Dictionary. Well, that's the news brief. For more stories, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and do subscribe to our YouTube channel at Plus TV Africa and Plus TV Africa Lifestyle. You can also view us from Limex on limex.tv and Glow TV apps anywhere in the world. I am Maureen Menonwezigwe. Many thanks for watching.
Increase the reach of your events or business services. To advertise on Plus TV Africa, please call 0906 000 5719 or 0909 040 8408, or send an email to marketing@plustvafrica.com. Plus TV Africa. Big stories live here.
Is it for upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria.
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Buki November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on Plus TV Africa.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
Nigeria's Niger Delta region, from where the black gold fuels Africa's largest economy, where the lines between wealth and poverty has never been thinner. Conflicts, poverty, insecurity, and environmental challenges daily confront the region. How can the Niger Delta story be changed for the better?
Join Mamude Akuga at 9 p.m. every Friday evening on Plus TV Africa as he probes deep in search of solutions.
Inside the Niger Delta with Mamude Akuga, the authentic voice of Nigeria's oil-rich region.
Is very important because most people don't know what people go through. You know, celebrities will always try to put up this strong front. People see us like, oh, I look up to them. They don't cry, they don't suffer, they don't go through the depression, they don't have any problems. So for me, as a person, I always like to share my experience with people because I want them to learn from how I've used those experiences to become a better person.
Oftentimes when we see celebrities either on social media, television, or in person, we assume they have it all together, but we forget that they're also human. Well, here are some of the low points of some of your favorite celebrities.
That's very easy. I'll just share one. That's very easy. See, guys, a lot of people see me now slaying and doing all the things. They're like, Brian, because see, you be fine boy now, you know as a be now. You got it easy, or you know, things better when you day. But it's not always like. Let me tell you guys something, man, guys. My first 2 years, as anything, as a model, as an entertainer, as an actor, I didn't get one job. I'm not talking about 2 weeks. I'm not talking about 3 months. I'm not talking about one. I'm not talking about 6 months. I'm talking about 2 years. So 2 years I was sitting at home. Not like I wasn't working, not like I wasn't going for castings, not like I wasn't doing whatever others were doing. I didn't get anything, guys. So put that to what you're going through now. You get, because some people get out of school and they're like, I've not made it, man. It's been like 6 months, man. Nothing they happen. Bye-bye. 2 years. But here we are. So what I'm trying to say is that everybody has their own timeline. Everybody has their own story. So don't use that to say, don't be looking at somebody else's success and say, because it happened to Rami once, happened to me in 1 week. But no.
Nobody knows. I went through the hardship of life, and I went through my ups and downs, and I just had only one person who was actually there for me, which was my mom anyways. So I had a rocky university days. I think people don't know that. I actually went to 3 universities and ended up finishing in one shop.
I drove into a filling station, and I was meant to get fuel, 4,000. Do you understand? And probably the guy that was selling, he used to be my fan when I was working, in the radio as a presenter. Like, oh, Baba, now you Casey Brown, Baba, Baba. He got confused. He gave me full tank instead of 4,000. Do you understand? So, and then I don't have up to that amount to fix it up because in real, I don't get up. All I have with me is 4,000 naira for the fuel and 8,000 naira to buy a fuel cleanser to put in my car. And the guy, so I bought the fuel. I told him, okay, fine. I'll bring you 8,600 because he was begging me, God will sack me, it's not my fault, not my fault. I was okay, fine, I'll bring you 8,600. Bro, I got so busy. I forgot about even giving the guy 8,600. The guy went straight to my Facebook and was like, stop living a fake life. You came to our filling station, you came to buy fuel for credit, they don't want to pay, come and pay me my money, blah, 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 stop faking a fake, stop. I was like, this same dude that was begging me, my boss will sack me, it's my fault. And I was like, I will pay. I entered my car. As soon as I saw that thing, I zoomed straight to the station. They said the guy has been fired. The manager there was begging me. They called the guy in Ikorodu. He went straight and dropped that post himself. I didn't do it. And the manager said, for this, because I told the guy, I said, one article online about this filling station will cost you guys a bad reputation. They said they will not pay him his balance, a salary that they're supposed to give to him. But I ended up pleading for him. Do you understand? So that is what we get every now and then.
I've worked over 12 jobs in my life. Wow. Yeah, I cleaned the lavatory on the plane.
Have you said that anywhere else?
I think on Big Brother I did.
Oh, okay.
I said, stop telling them all those things. I'm like, it's part of my journey. It just reminds me of where I came from. I wasn't born with a silver spoon, but of course my parents were comfortable growing up. But I had to work hard. I had to work hard. So being where I am today, I always think about what I did back in the day, how far I've come, and this is only the beginning. I know that the sky is just the starting point. It's definitely not the limit. So yeah.
There was a time in my life I had just moved out of home. I wanted to be a man on my own terms. So I moved out of home, left the family business, and I went to quote-unquote hustle. I moved in with a friend of mine who lived in Shomolu. I was so broke because I had nothing. I took nothing from home. That I had to walk from Shomolu to Surulere every day for a year and a half. I had no money. I could barely afford 1 meal a day. My job at that point, even after graduating from university, was distributing flyers on the streets of Lagos. What that taught me about myself was that I had a never say die attitude. And I have the strength and resilience to face any circumstance. I came out of that stronger. Like sometimes I look back now and I realize if I could have survived that time, then really there are only a few challenges that will come to me or come my way that I wouldn't be able to survive. And with that kind of confidence, I think everybody, when you figure out what it is about you that is special, with that confidence, you can surmount almost every issue that comes your way.
Hello and welcome to What Are You Saying? #Ways, where we talk about topics in the news as it affects us all. I am Usayome Saleh, and today we have a guest on Monday. Jennifer.
Oh, come. It's not your Monday tonic.
It's not my Monday tonic. We have a strange guest.
A strange person. We're not used to seeing you on Monday, yeah? Yeah.
How are you, Jennifer? Jenny, baby, you look amazing.
Thank you.
All sporty. How are you? How was your day? How was your weekend?
My weekend was very exhausting, but good exhausting. I actually liked it. I went out and I saw people. So seeing people, I'm just like, wow, this is Lagos. This happened because I've been indoors since January. But yeah, it was good. And today started off great, so I thank God.
Yeah. That's many nice thanks to Jennifer. When you have a perfume content creator, you have to smell nice. How are you, Chinelo?
I'm fine. I'm all right. I'm okay. What happened? My weekend was good. I was all over the place, but I had fun. So yeah, it was a good one for me. Today too was sort of busy. I was here and there, but yeah, all for a good cause.
Right.
Yeah.
I had a long weekend. I had to go to Osun State, see my son, because he's staying back to write WAEC and JAM.
Okay.
Brought the other one home. And, the roads are actually a lot better.
Now, yeah?
Oh, nice.
A lot better. And I was quite impressed with Ibadan, because Ibadan is never next to you on the road. But, I mean, for some strange reason, there's construction going on, but there was no crazy traffic like you would experience with Ibadan. Because sometimes we're there 2 hours, just stuck in one place in Ibadan. But the good thing, again, and I was saying to someone that, for the first time, at least there are traffic officials saying to you that, okay, there is a diversion road. Because those are the things. There was a time, I remember one time like that, we were going to drop off the kids in school. Nobody just even informs you. You just go to the front and see that they've dug a big hole in the road. You have to first start turning. So that now caused a lot of gridlock. So now they had blocked everywhere. So you clearly know that there's construction going on, and they put signs of diversion and all of that, which is not, I mean, they are not there yet, but it's way, way better than where they're coming from. So the roads were fair to us. Honestly, the road was not as bad as it used to. And Monday, of course, started on a great note as well. I'm excited. We're pushing, but we thank God. It's a long day. All right, so today we want to discuss these issues around, we cannot not talk about the issues around governance, good leadership, good governance, politics, and all of that. And today, what he does with them. Now, the owner of the resources, in this case, being Nigerians. However, also how has the responsibility to pay attention to how their resources are being used and how they are being governed. Have they also, as Nigerians, have you taken out time to find out how those things are being used? And today we have Yemi Adamolekun. She's here to discuss the citizens' role in public accountability. It's one thing for us to say, governance, let's hold our leaders accountable. What's our role? Because I believe that in all of the things that have played out, especially with the elections and everything, what kept ringing in my head is that, okay, they have done what they need to do. What do we as citizens, what do we have to do, to get them to be accountable for the positions that, everybody is going to be occupying, right? That's a conversation. So we'll do all of that. But first, let's quickly go on a break. When we come back from that break, we want to see what we found in the news. All right, you are still watching Ways. In 2020, the Medical Science Liaison Society established International Medical Science Liaison Day to raise awareness of the importance of the medical science liaison role in pharmaceutical, biotechnology, medical device, and other companies that employ them. Their role ultimately improves patients' lives. So there's something that my sister is doing in the US because she's trying to switch careers. And she's studying something called CRM. So they are like almost like liaison officers, you know, for between the pharmaceuticals and, you know, it's such an interesting role because again, some of them are the ones that would approve and test and say, okay, yes, this product is good to go, you know, and all of that. They've done the test, they've done all of those things. It's not small work. So when, you know, sometimes when they're talking, I just look at them, I just shake my head. I say, now, wow, we are far away in this country because now it's not even just the medical personnel, not your doctors, your nurses and all of that. So for instance, if M&B or EMZO or whatever companies, they want to produce, who are the people that the government is, you know, saying that, okay, these are companies that are known, that ensures that these quality checks are done, you know, between pharmaceutical companies, and I don't think we have them. I don't know. I don't know if we have them. You know, NAFDAC is supposed to be but the agency, but you see, it's different. There's the equivalent of NAFDAC in the US, but these ones are companies that
like
send their quality. So they go. The work they do is quite intense. Quite intense. You know, so new drugs, they're coming in, they're testing, they're doing so many things, doing a lot of, and gathering data in the process. So it's not just saying they're doing it, they're documenting. It's a lot of process.
Interesting.
And they pay them a lot of money for that. And they are not in the medical field. They are not doctors, they're not nurses. So people now traveling outside the country are no longer even really interested about
to be doctors and nurses anymore.
You see those kind of roles that
That's what they want to do.
Yeah, you know, because they pay.
I mean, it's an important role.
Yeah, they pay heavily for that. Okay, so who are we starting with? Let me see. Chinelo, let me go with you first.
Okay, so when I saw this headline, I was a bit taken aback, but then I now figured, okay, it's just in 2 states, right? So INEC to hold supplementary elections in Kebbi and Adamawa on April 15th. I saw it first as INEC to hold supplementary elections in states. So I asked myself, what do they mean by supplementary elections? So does this mean that we're not going to go back and collect our data all over again? Is that what they're trying to tell us? But then I saw that it's just in Kebbi and Adamawa. So the INEC has fixed April 15th for the conduct of all outstanding governorship, national and state assembly supplementary elections. And this was made known in a statement by Festus Okoye. It will be recalled that 26 state governorships have been concluded and winners have been declared. But then after proper review by the commission, they're still going to hold supplementary governorship elections. Well,
did they state why?
Not necessarily. They just said because they reviewed and then some elections were inconclusive.
Yes, I know Adamawa was inconclusive, of course, and the other state Kebbi. But what I'm saying is that, what was the criteria? Because again, I don't understand the inconsistency with INEC. If you have said that, you know, violence, some of these things that were encountered, you know, and you still went ahead to announce results, I just want to know, I'm actually curious, maybe I'll ask our guest, what is the criteria that was used for this? To say, okay, these were the things that they considered, and this is why some of these states were inconclusive, and this is why they are holding a supplementary election. Let me see what, you know, the answer would be. Because again, if you want to cite violence, you want to cite, okay, maybe some local governments were not able to vote. We had all of that in some of the states that were declared.
Some other states, yes. So I don't know why they decided to do it in just the states, but see this INEC matter.
I think everybody's tired.
Honestly, it's
we can't be tired though.
Everyone's tired.
But then we're talking about our role, Abby.
Yes.
That's what we're talking today. Okay.
Jennifer.
So for me, in the headlines, like Jonathan, Nigerians, we yearn for Buhari after leaving office. This is by Shehu Gaba. So Shehu Gaba is the senior special assistant to the president on media and publicity. And one thing he said is that Nigerian leaders are not loved while in office, that we start to yearn for them once they've left. And he was citing reference to Goodluck Jonathan. So basically, he's saying that once Buhari leaves now and then the new president takes over, we'll start missing Buhari. We'll ask him.
Okay. That's all I have.
I saw a cartoon. The cartoon was showing Buhari with drip and handing over. I think it was on business day. They always have some funny cartoons. You know? And so he was showing Buhari with drip and handing over to Tinubu with his own medical conditions. But I said it is well. Me, I don't even have energy to talk about some of these things. So this story actually caught my attention, given that, again, when we talk about jungle justice and this movie that Linda Keji had released, that movie, I cried. I cried like my eyes were going to pop out. So when I saw this, I just said, oh, wow, not again. So Abia vigilante kills a 27-year-old over company's missing phone. Now, so the yet to be identified official of the Abia State Vigilante Group had shot and killed the 27-year-old staff member of The Choice Eatery. It's an eatery. His name is Izuchukwu Mbakwe, I think that's his name, in Umuahia, the capital of Abia State. Now, according to the reports today, the deceased was shot at close range on his lap. That was yesterday, Sunday, resulting in his death. According to them, they said he had arrived into the premises to resume for his normal duties, and when the internal auditor summoned the vigilante security guards and demanded his arrest over the disappearance, now wait for it, of a company-owned Nokia Touch.
Really?
What?
Nokia Touch. So the overzealous guards were accused of stripping Mbakwe. They stripped him, they beat him into a coma, and they now shot him at close range with a pop-action rifle, which injured his femoral artery. Now, he was rejected, where he was referred to a hospital, I think FMC Umaya, for treatment, where he died, just as he was about to be referred to a specialist hospital. Now, this story is actually very heartbreaking, right? Because, first of all, a phone goes missing in a company, right? No proper due process. I mean, I'm setting up a company and we are putting in so much, like, I'm just looking at my, because she's telling me, oh, you have to do things the way it's done, global standards, that anybody that comes into your organization, they will not look at it and say, oh, it's a one-man company. We're trying to run the structure in a way that everything, so there is supposed to be, in the case of theft, what is the policy document saying? You know, then even if it says, okay, XYZ, you don't have CCTV cameras in place. You're not even sure that this person was the one that took this phone. Now you now bring in overzealous people. You know how this vigilante can get, right? The worst case scenario would have been to call the police, arrest the boy, and get him to confess. And if there's any situation like that, there is a salary that you can remove the money from. How much is a Nokia Touch, for goodness sake?
Exactly.
You know, that a 27-year-old boy, look at the boy's face, very young, vibrant and all of that, he's gone. Now, because of what? You know. So I think, because there's no more to this story, because I was looking for more. But the police should arrest the owner of the company, arrest this internal control audit, and this person that is yet to identify, please identify the person and arrest the person. Because now, this thing, if we do not keep, holding people accountable for their actions, this kind of things will continue. Next time, when something like this happens in another company, they'll be quick to call the real, the law enforcement agencies that are trained to handle such situations. How can this boy just die just like that? So I'll really call on the Abia State government, right? Even if the family will not take it up, because they will not start to tell you that, it's God's will. I don't like all those kind of things. They should please take up. At least they've mentioned the name of the eatery. It's The Choice Eatery. Yeah. They should look for the owners of the company, right? Look for this person that is the internal control officer. Look for these vigilante people and get all of them arrested. Then at the end of the process, whoever needs to face the court should face the court. I don't know what the penalty for death is, because now this is, what's it called? Murder. We'll take a break.
Sad.
Very, very sad.
Very sad.
I'll take a break. Really want to discuss this issue around, how can we as citizens hold our leaders accountable? What accountability means for all of us. Stay with us. We'll be right back. All right, thanks for staying with us. Now, according to a well-being article by Prince Will Ene, any nation whose leaders are not accountable to its citizens will find it difficult to grow and develop. Now, accountability is one of the cornerstones of good governance in developed nations and in leadership roles. Now, it is the acknowledgement and assumption of responsibility for actions, products, decisions, and policies, including the administration, governance, and implementation within the scope of the role of employment position, and encompassing the obligation to report, explain, and be answerable for resulting consequences. Now, the lack of accountability in Nigerian leadership is clear, and it goes without saying that this has made our nation stagnant in growth and development. Now, the question is now, what role do you think citizens should play when it comes to public accountability, and how can we start to take our country back from those who are meant to be serving us but are not? Now, please, let's hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join the conversation. Send us an SMS or WhatsApp to 081-803-4663. You can also tweet at us at Wayshow Africa1 with the hashtag Wayshow. So I'll bring in Yemi in a minute, but I just want to hear your thoughts quickly. Jennifer and Chinelo, what do you think? Can citizens truly hold our leaders accountable?
If we're ready, yes.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
We're ready, yeah.
Jennifer, how about you?
I feel like the large percentage of the citizens will not be able to, because they don't even hold themselves accountable most of the time, because you see people acting anyhow or constituting nuisance, and then when you call them out on it, nobody wants to be accountable for their actions. People start to have amnesia or start to act brand new when some things happen. It's like, I just literally saw you do this, but you're not going to take responsibility for what you did. Like, I mean, look at the story you just took now. If you actually spoke to the managers and stuff like that, even the manager, the other guy the vigilante, and then you ask them questions, they probably come up with, he did this, that was why I did this. But, I mean, you're supposed to take responsibility, you're supposed to own up to it. So, yeah, honestly, I don't think so.
One thing that keeps ringing in my head is how knowledgeable are we as citizens to be able to even understand what it is that we should be asking
for?
Yemi Adamoleko currently serves as the executive director of Enough is Enough Nigeria, a non-partisan network of individuals and organizations committed to building a culture of good governance and public accountability in Nigeria through active citizenship. Yemi has a 23-year diverse career spanning the public and private sector in the US and Nigeria. She volunteers for Kaleyewa House, an NGO founded by her late mother focused on the elderly. And in 2018, she was named as one of the most influential people of African descent, that's MyPad, endorsed by the United Nations in the humanitarian and religious category. And she's joined us live in studio. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for honoring our invitation. We always love it when our guests honor our invitation. Thank you so much. It's your first time here, actually.
Yeah, it is.
Welcome. All right, so Yemi, I mean, this conversation, I think this is coming off of the back of the elections, first of all. You know, before the elections, it was go get your PVC, go get your PVC, even though some of us were hampering and shouting that PVC is not the solution. But hey, that was all we could fight with at that point. Get your PVCs. People got their PVCs, people went to vote, and a lot of, you know, things happened. Right? So now we're at the point where it seems like maybe, first of all, I don't want to choose the word hopeless, because I believe that as long as there's life, you know, there's hope, you know. But we are at that point where it seems like, you know, would we ever get to a Nigeria where leaders would just do what is right, you know? And it's a bit murky in my head because I can't see that clear picture. Because two things, I mean, I said something just now when Jennifer said it. I said knowledge. You know, citizens don't even know enough to want to even understand how they can start to hold the public officers accountable. We don't know enough. And secondly, right, even when we do, that part of, you know, like, is not affecting me directly. So let me just, you know, because Chinelo said we're not ready. And that's the truth. And when Jennifer talked about accountability, we begin to bend the rules. When it applies to me, it's no longer stealing. I just borrowed it, you know. But when it applies to somebody else, I give it a different name. So really, is it even possible for us to really attain that position where citizens would begin to truly take on that office of the citizens like you have on your shirt?
I mean, I think it's a combination. Again, thanks for having me. I think it's a combination of what Chinelo and Jennifer have said. Because ultimately, it's, yeah, there's a part of that understanding what it is to hold the leaders accountable. But there's also just right is right. I mean, it doesn't even have to get to leaders, just and in terms of personal responsibility. And we see it in everyday things. So I'm wondering, if I can't hold Chinelo or Jennifer accountable and they're my sisters, why would I suddenly understand or want to hold someone outside accountable? Or as we like to say, our anyhowness is okay as long as I benefit from it. I can sit in my house and get my driver's license without having to test if I can drive or go there. It's okay. But when a government official is driving down a one-way road, and be like, oh, those government people, they're so useless. Yeah. What's the difference? And so for me, it's literally, we need to be honest with ourselves around what we want. And because if you are clear about what, and just the same thing with life goals. If you're in a career, a job, a mother, whatever it is, if you are clear about what you want, then you plan to get it. Then you have clear goals, you have clear objectives. I want a PhD, I have to go to school. PhDs don't drop on people's laps. So it's the same thing with Nigeria. If we want Nigeria to operate at a certain standard in a certain way, then we need to be clear that it's not just about those we elect. It's also about how we run our lives. And if we don't hold those same standards, it's very hard to switch them on and off, in a sense. And that's what we literally do, which is why I agree with Chinelo that we're not quite ready.
You know, I want to just take you back before I let Jennifer and Chinelo come in. Honesty. You know, we're so used to, like you rightly said, the anyhowness. We're so used to it that it's almost like, you know, when I hear you speak now. So when I was going to go and get my international passport, right? And the lady I was talking to, she was the head of customs then in the Festac branch, head of immigrations rather, at the customs. And she told me, oh, go to the bank, that just pay the fee. When you've paid the fee, we'll try to, you know. It was strange to me because I paid the exact fee. I paid how much is written there for my 10-year page passport and all of that. And there was no exchange of anything. I felt very strange. Because,
you were expecting something else to happen.
I was expecting something else to happen. So I needed to, you know, at some point I was like, maybe I should get her a perfume or something. Because I could not for the life of me understand why nobody's asking me for paying extra and all of that. Because I know how these things work. Right? We are so used to doing things wrong that it is difficult when we see that things are trying to be done right. For us, even us, to even accept
I think with Chinelo or Jennifer, that's it. When you're even trying to correct someone, they'll be like, what's your own? What is it? And so you are now the bad person for wanting to do the right thing.
So I don't even know. Why I'm even asking that is that how do we even begin to? Because now we're so used to that dishonesty that honesty becomes like very strange to us. You know, is it?
Well, honestly, I believe that, honestly, I believe there's still enough of us that know what is wrong or right. So you felt strange, but you didn't, if you wanted to get her a gift, it would be because you wanted to. She didn't make the demand. And you yourself, you are clear about that she didn't make any demands on you. You just felt that, wow, you're actually thanking her for not asking. It's basically what you did. But it's okay. And that's what the whole conversation is around. Are you gifting or is it a bribe? When is a bribe a gift? Blah, blah, blah. You didn't bribe her because she didn't ask you anything before, nor after. But if you of your own goodwill thought she provided good customer service, if we want to call it that, and you decide you want to gift her something, yeah, why not? But I think there's still enough of us that have sense, that know what is right. And that as hard as it might be, we just need to continue to demand it in the spaces that we control. And so that when people come, and we all have influence over people that work with us, people that work for us, family members, they will know that Auntie Uwa is a certain way, Auntie Chinelo is a certain way. They might be like, kind of attitude, but it sinks in because regardless of when you go other places or you have the opportunity to go other places, the things that you've experienced, they are there in your subconscious. They never go away. So I think that's the responsibility we owe ourselves, to decide that we will do what we know to be right. And the rest of society will catch up. But the flip side of it, though, is that it's very difficult doing the right thing and almost being penalized for doing the right thing. So you happen to have a nice experience. You paid, it was fine. But some other people will go there. My experience when I went to get my passport was slightly different. I'd done everything, paid online. You should have seen the guy that I met, anger. Like, how dare you pay online? Like, he literally told me, so what do you want me to do now? Do your job, perhaps. He was that upset because obviously because I've paid online and done the proper way, there was no opportunity for him to ask me to pay more. I've already paid. So he now tried to make the process a bit difficult, but he didn't know that madman meets madwoman. And I was just like, okay, it's not that deep. I should have come with that pay next time. I will do that. Can we now keep this thing moving? But it was interesting that he was very angry that I did the right thing. Now, for a lot of us, I mean, again, look at the sacrifice of time, part of how we justify it. And it's understandable in a sense, to be fair. Process that should take me an hour takes me 2 whole days. Now, the cost benefit of my time is not enough for 2 whole days. So, but the fortunate part is that if you had asked, if you asked me to pay 100% premium for Express, I will gladly pay it. But let the money go into
straight into the coffers of the government.
True. But even the governments themselves, because they,
Let's leave it there.
Let's just pack it there.
Commence my reserve.
You know, let's just pack it there.
Honestly, I think as human beings, or let me use Nigeria as a whole, as a people, we are deeply rooted in corruption. And we've been so inbred, and we have this mediocre side of us as a nation where anything goes. And that's because a lot of us were born into mediocrity. We've seen the government, we've seen everything that is happening, and this is what you're used to. We've adapted to it. So now anything that looks out of place, which is supposed to be the norm, looks wrong. And that was why you felt wrong. Like, oh, why is this woman doing this? Because you're very surprised that someone could be so honest to actually want to do their job. We're used to people who aren't being responsible for what they're being paid to do. So even the government, I mean, it was this election time that a lot of us saw, at least we had a glimpse of hope. Until now, a lot of people's hope haven't died. Some have died, some haven't. I know people that I talk to and they tell you they've not given up hope. And there's a reason. There are people that I've spoken to just 2 days ago. A friend of mine said, he's not leaving this country, that he's here, he will stay here, this country is going to get better. And it was amazing to see. It was amazing to see because he feels like things will get better. Something would happen. There will be a change along the line. But then if you look at the trend so far, especially from the presidential election to the gubernatorial election, you realize that a lot of people started to hold the government accountable.
Do you agree with that?
Yes. What do you mean by that?
So people were coming out to say, enough is enough. We don't want this anymore. You want to come into power. Let's see your manifesto. Let's see what you can do. People you want to kick out, who wanted to be re-elected, we started to ask questions. I mean, look at Lagos, for example. People asked. Now, we said, oh, there was so much competition. That's why the governor who wanted to be re-elected had to come out to list out everything that he had done. Do you understand? Exactly. I mean, before then, when the debate, when the debate was going on, we didn't see any of that. He didn't show up. But then he saw that people started asking questions. What have you done?
I'm not sure about that.
I was going to say that. Is that enough? Go ahead.
I'm not even sure that it was that people were asking questions. Lagos was beaten in the presidential elections. So that was a very clear message that APC was not loved as they thought in Lagos. So if I want to win my re-election, I need to be here. And he'd been busy following his principle around. So he wasn't really here campaigning.
But why was APC beaten in the election in Lagos?
I mean, I could give a bunch of reasons. For some people, it was NSAS. For some people, it was because they impounded their cars and then sold it off. Some people, it was because they felt they were not working. For some people, it was because of security. I mean, Lagos has gotten significantly more unsafe under, what's the name?
So doesn't that translate to the fact that people were now holding the government accountable? It's like, yeah, we've been suffering for a long time.
My point is that you were saying
asking
asking questions. So the point is that they weren't engaging someone, they weren't trying to say, what will you do, or asking him. He was the one now offering to say that, and obviously using whatever he could. I have experience, I've done this for a while, let's continue the great work, yada, yada, yada. But I think part of the other side of really what you're saying is that also the environments we have doesn't penalize bad behavior.
True.
So parents talk about it with their children all the time. Your child wants to do something bad, they'll be eyeing you, like, move this thing. Did she do anything? Did she do anything? Did she do anything? And if you don't do anything, they'll test and they'll keep pushing. And literally, that's, if we look at it, that's what we've done with
the government.
Just general bad behavior in society. At a point in our time, if a mother saw another child doing something wrong, you would correct. Or you would call out people if you saw them doing something wrong. People that I was looking for a word. We had shame. People would actually be a bit like I don't want to do that, so I don't look bad. But now, anyhowness,
you cannot shame the shameless.
Let
me take a break. You know, I want to say that you cannot shame the shameless. I'm shameless, so leave me. You cannot shame me. But let's take a break, right? When we come back from break, I think Chinelo is itching to ask a question. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
For upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria.
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Buki November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on Plus TV Africa.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
All right, thanks for staying with us. Now, if you just tuned in, we're discussing the citizens' role in public accountability with Yemi Adamoleko. Now, please, let's hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join the conversation. Send us an SMS or WhatsApp to 081-803-4663. You can also tweet at us at Wayshow after one with hashtag Wayshow. Chinelo.
Okay, so, I mean, you see this talk of citizens' role and all of that, right? Like, when you asked me, I said, if we're ready, because the truth is that we're not ready yet. You know, I always say this thing, this good governance that we're all clamoring for, we're not ready for good governance, because good governance will mean you eating biscuits in your car and not tossing the wrapper on the street. Because if you do that, I remember we used to have Kai, what they call those people, they used to arrest people for things like that, right? So are we ready for those kind of things? Now, okay, that's even on one side. We also know that when we talk about public accountability, that's supposed to be like the hallmark for democracy, right?
Yeah.
And right now, democracy in Nigeria is just a paper procedure because we're not holding anybody responsible for their omissions, their acts. We're not for their adequacies and inadequacies. We're not saying anything about all of that. But now, let's even keep all of that aside. Let's assume now, right? We're about to start. We're entering on the 29th of May.
New era.
We're entering a new era. We're starting off with a new president in Lagos State, where we live. Our governor has been re-elected, and now how do we move forward? How do we now start to hold these people accountable and say, look, Governor Sanwo-Olu, when you were coming back, you promised the Red Rail was going to be completed June 2024. How's that going to work? How do we start to ask these questions? How do we start to engage them?
Start by knowing them, number one. So we spend a lot of energy on president and governor. And it's understandable, because for the president, it doesn't matter if you're in Enugu or Taraba. We're talking about the same person. So it's easier in terms of noise and amplification. Everybody is on Buhari's matter, because he's our shared president. At a state level, it's also important, because everybody is talking Sanwo-Olu, 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 so it's also amplified. But for a lot of things, it's your local government chairman, really, that's responsible for it. And it's not as sexy a role. If you see the numbers, we talk about presidential numbers, then dropping percentage-wise at state level. By the time you're doing local government chairman elections,
it's horrible.
Maybe like 500 people came out to vote. It's terrible. But in a lot of ways, your local government chairman is actually responsible for things closest to you, from your markets, to your street signs, to the gutter in front of your house, to some roads, to primary school education, to primary health care. That's all their bit. So I think the number one point is actually start by knowing who represents you. Number two, recognize that you have more impact in numbers. So if Uwa is a local government chairwoman, and I go and see Uwa and I talk to her, I say, oh, no problem, thank you very much, I'll look into it. And I go. But if 30 people from a part of her constituency come and see her, and she looks at them well, I'll be like, wow, okay. It's a bit harder for her to ignore. And so understanding that there's power in numbers, and not only the numbers of going to visit, but also the fact that one visit to Uwa is not enough. So therefore, if there are 30, 40 of us, let's say 5 of us decide that, okay, on Monday we'll go. And I have an actually interesting experience of that from Ikorodu. We used to have a radio show, or we still do actually, called No Wahala Monday. And the format of it is people call in with a problem, and our job is to help you solve the problem yourself. So it's not allowing you to vent. So you call and say something happening in your local government. This was in Ikorodu. At the time, Abike Dabiri was in House of Reps, and I was very excited because I knew she actually picks up her phone, or she engages. So send her a text or call her. She might not pick up your phone, but she'll return it. So when the guy said he was from Ikorodu, I was very excited. So I said, okay, Abike Dabiri is your House of Rep member. This is her number, call her. His first response was, really? I can call her. I was like, yeah, she works for you. Again, to your point about knowledge, we don't understand that there's nobody, both elected and appointed, all of them are employees. Because if not the fact that we elected them into office, they wouldn't have jobs. So I was very surprised that really, I said, yes, call her. And I was very excited because I knew she would answer. Not everybody does. And she did. She didn't pick up the phone, but he sent a text and she replied. So when he called, I think a week or two later, he was super excited that she had responded. And she told him what to do. I think it was about a road. Call this person, go and see this person, go and see. And what they then did as a community was they created a schedule. So the 3 of you will go on Monday. The 4 of you will go on Tuesday. 5. And they kept on it. And I think after a few months, that part of the road got fixed. So I say that to say that it's difficult work, but it starts with showing up and letting them know that you represent me and you owe me to speak to me. And your point about also teaching, we need to do a lot more about teaching people who is responsible for what. So your gutter is not Buhari's problem. Neither is primary school Buhari's problem. And so understanding who is responsible for what, holding and engaging. And I mean, we say elections, and that's part of the thing about elections, that it's a real threat to people in office, because that's your time to say that you haven't done well. We are going to vote you out. But that narrative also has a shortcoming when there are no good options. But if you have other people in the race who are then a bit more engaging and say, I will do this, I will do this, it makes the choice a bit easier. But that's when people also vote by performance. And we're not voting because your hair is straight and your hair is curled, or you are yellow and you happen to be black.
So yeah. So those are the things that are real, and we can't run away from it. So this goes back to your point. So if we're serious about good governance and people want to deliver, then I don't really care if you're yellow or black. I just need you to get the work done. But if I don't really care, and I know that you are going to give me rice and something, and you are going to whatever, then those types of things, or you and I will meet in church, and you and I will meet in the mosque. If those things are still part of why, so not everybody, some of us vote. Those of us that the cost of our votes are a bit higher need to be a bit more engaged, and also educate, like our spheres of influence. How are we engaging the people who are in our spheres of influence to understand how their votes affect their lives?
Yeah. So I like that part because you kept on saying education, education. Part of one of your mandates with Enough is Enough is to educate, and ensure voter participation. There was a lot of energy this year. I mean, the energy that happened with the elections this year, I don't think I've seen it in the history of my voting, right? There was a lot of energy, and like you rightly said, a lot of factors played out. The NSAS, a lot of things. So the youth were really, really, really engaged. So, but how do we maintain this momentum, right? Because it's one thing for us to be upset now as Nigerians, and we quickly just die the energy. The energy just goes quiet. It's just like Jimmy Agbaji coming every 4 years, She didn't want to Jimmy. I can never get another man. You know why it now made it more obvious when JRB was running for the race for governorship. That's what it now made so obvious. Because I've been saying it that man is not serious about governorship. But everybody kept on saying no. I said he's not serious. Because now when Sanwo-Olu saw real competition, he was selling ice cream, he was doing different things. So there is the energy, the momentum that has been, there's an awakening that happened, right? Yeah. How do we maintain that tempo, right? I get you because there's a part of the education, knowing who is supposed to do what. We don't know that one. We're very, very illiterate. We are very illiterate when it comes to political issues, right? That's why that politeracy that Kule Lawa is teaching us, we're learning. Yeah. But we don't know anything about governance. But I want us to also maintain that tempo because that energy that we have as young people now being really involved in what is happening, right? So they talked about voters' participation, and we came out, we participated. So how do we now participate in governance? Right, ensuring that everybody that have been elected or selected, those people, we are on their toes. We are making sure that we keep them on their toes.
I think we need to think of ways to build community around accountability issues. So, and probably the more local, the better, so you can see results. Because if all of us are facing the president, then it's a bit harder to hold him, if I want to use that word. Well, your local government chairman office, and we can find his house. Your house of rep. I mean, at a point in time, I remember a conversation I had with, should I say his name? I won't. A house of rep member in Lagos, and he was teasing and said, "You people, you will come to National Assembly and be protesting. We'll be looking at you from the window. And when you're tired, you'll go home." I said, "Don't worry. The time will come when we won't come to the National Assembly.
It's your house.
It's your house." You should have seen his face. Literally, he started shaking. And my sister now, but why? And there's no, come to Abuja. No, Abuja is very good. All of us are in Abuja. You can see all of us at once. I said, no, you are my rep in Lagos. So let me just come to your house. Because literally, and if you think about it, for a protest in Abuja to have impact, you need numbers. For people to really feel that things are happening. But in front of your house in where you are, there's just 100 people. Yeah. We don't need to shout. We just go there.
Come and sit down. You carry cam gas. Begin the cook rice.
It's your wife that will tell you, I want to go out. Can you deal with this? Yeah. So that when in small, because it's smaller to manage, and just begin to say that, okay, you, my House of Rep member, you, my senator, you, my local government chairman, you are our project. So what are the things that we want? Specific things. It doesn't have to be long. We want you to do 4 things. Okay. So this is the plan that we're going to have. And it's just organizing. So it's organizing at a more macro level, number one. Organizing without cameras. Because I think part of the things that NSAS, maybe a side effect of it, is that people got used to the buzz. We're on social media, we're on TV today, TV tomorrow. By the time you start organizing in local communities, how many times are you going to be on news? So also getting used to that level of grunt work.
That you don't have to bring the camera. It's not everything that is for the gram.
That's it. There's really no need. Because actually, first of all, you'll be tired. Because there's no gram-worthy moment today. You come back tomorrow, there's no moment again. we need something for the gram. So if the gram is driving you, you'll be frustrated. So that as well. And then layered obviously on that is the point you made about education, because it's in understanding whose role is what that you then know what to demand. And one of the things as an organization we're committed to doing this year is do a bit more storytelling around success stories. Because we also realize that for when people hear that citizens engaged their duty bearers and got results, it's like, oh, okay, it changes them exactly. So we want to tell it, because there are those stories. They might not make 10 o'clock news or whatever it is, but the stories do exist. So if we want citizens to do more, then let's show them examples of citizens who have. And who have been successful at it. Yeah.
So how do we go about this education? Are we going to empower the media houses or individuals, companies, organizations?
Several platforms. So media houses, for example, also need to decide that this democracy is important enough to them that they're willing to give some of their airtime for education. At a point in time, EIA had radio programs in 33 states.
Wow.
And in building those programs, in talking to radio station owners and managers, I kept saying, you cannot charge me the same thing you charge a bank or a telco. I don't make money. I'm not a profit-making organization, so I'm not declaring, if you look at their own records, they're declaring billions as profit.
Yeah.
I run a non-profit. I rely on the goodwill of others to fund the work that I do. So you can't give a telco a bill of X and give me that one. It won't work. And for me, it was a bit frustrating to have to fight that fight. What am I selling? I'm selling citizens' rights. I'm selling know your rights so you don't go to jail. So why it's the same person who is selling something for them to make money, you want to charge me the same thing? So I think media platforms have a huge responsibility to work with non-profit organizations in creating, it doesn't have to be a lot. It can be 30 minutes a week or 30 minutes a day. Give something that allows citizens to be educated. That's one. Another channel is religious organizations. I tell people, Christians or Muslims, you will hear your pastor or your imam more
At least
times.
Twice a week.
And that is more times in a year than you heard Buhari in 8 years.
True.
Even plus Buhari plus some, for those of us in Lagos, plus your government. So if you have a captive audience like that, how are we using that? Again, you go to church or the mosque to be edified and fellowship and all of that, but 5 minutes of civic education, would that kill anybody? And then our school curriculums. We need to change our school curriculum so it's part of, we're now talking about civic education and all of that, but I mean, the last time I looked at the curriculum, I was like, yeah. So working with our curriculum to improve it. And I think the people who actually have the best opportunity to do that are private school owners. Because not only do you teach the regular curriculum, you also have the prerogative to add to it. And then a lot of organizations that do extracurricular activities, working with children, and maybe let me land on that. Maybe we also start a bit earlier. So rather than focusing maybe necessarily on adults, you start with 16, 17,
even 5-year-olds, yes. Just create the curriculum to
fit
for them to be able to absorb it as basic as that.
Exactly. And as you grow older, you need curriculum that empowers your stage, so to speak. Yeah.
That's very fantastic. Storytelling, I love that idea of storytelling, because I think, again, you know, if people see that it's possible, you know, oh, this person actually went, like you rightly said, the guy said, oh, I called and she picked. And if people see that it's possible and somebody tried it, we said, well, let's go to our own local government. Because I just believe that, you know, we've been fighting wrongly. You know, they say insanity is definition of doing the same thing and expecting a different result. That's what we've been doing. So why don't we, you know what, whoever you want to select or elect is not our headache. Shall walk. That's the thing. Like, let us just, don't worry, you've selected yourself, no problem. We will make you do the job. Yes. You know, and I think, you know, with what you said now, it just makes a lot of sense. Yeah. You know, as little as, okay, for instance, maybe on this VI road now, legally, who is in charge? If there's anything, who is supposed to be clearing the gutters? Why do we have flooding and all of that? When you gather that information, 3, 4, 5 people go and knock on their door. Come, let's go and pay him a visit. You know, it's very likely that you will get more results. Yes.
Because they don't use. I remember the first time I called my senator. Right. Hello. Are you a member of APC? No. Are you a journalist? No. Okay. So I don't think he asked that. I'm sure he was thinking, are we related? But he didn't ask that. He didn't ask that one. So what do you want? I was like, oh, I'm Minikeja, you represent me, and I just wanted to know how you voted on this particular bill. Is he shouting? How dare you? Who are you? I said, oh, God, it's not Daddy. Calm down. Now, what was interesting then was that it was obvious that nobody had ever asked him. So he wasn't used to being asked,
questions.
what did you do? I was like, sir, I'm just trying to understand because you are there voting on my behalf. So I just wanted to know how you voted and can you call. So we went back and forth a bit until I think we now came to a happy medium. And I think a few times after that I called, hello, my sister, how are you? Is how we ended the matter. But the first call was very instructive because I was asking, he had never been asked and wasn't trained, if we use that, on how to respond. But I mean, this was probably like 8 years ago or so. So things have improved significantly, also because there's more awareness. Or social media in 2011, when after Jonathan's elections, and a lot of government officials came on social media. As they came, they ran. Why? Because they're used to TV or radio that's unidirectional. But on social media, Twitter especially, as we are talking, they're answering you. And Twitter, thank you. And Twitter at that time, I don't even know how many characters, fewer characters. So there's no time for your excellency.
You can't even explain.
Just
go straight to the
point. You lied. That's not true. So so that shock of, but then look, fast forward 12 years. You now have young people who have jobs managing those accounts. So we have made significant progress, but I think that level of engagement needs to become more than just social media. It needs to be real life.
Absolutely.
Let's talk about
and I think finally for us on Ways, how do we start to, because I like this idea you talked about storytelling and, educating, 5 minutes education and all of that. Because again, we are here live Monday to Friday.
Give us 5 minutes.
Yes, imagine if we're able to, and honestly speaking, it's something that and again, for us on the show, it's not just because we want to be on TV. Let's really hit the issues where it matters, right? So how do we even engage and partner with you? Because I love this Office of the Citizen. You understand? Even though some people have argued that we are not citizens, we are just existing. We are not qualified to be called citizens. But how do we partner?
We're aspiring to.
Yeah.
We're happy to provide you content.
Okay.
For 5 days a week. Let us know. We'll give you content.
Because we really want to engage. We want to engage, the citizens. We want to engage people.
Yeah.
Let's begin to, because all this fight back and forth. Me, I've moved on.
Yeah.
I don't cry. My eye don't swell up. I have told myself I'm never going to vote again.
But and thank you very much. And we're very happy to do that. So Lagos, for example, has 20 local governments. So for example, we can take a local government per day. Highlight it. Who's the chairman? Where's the chairman's office? What's the role of a local government chairman? What are the highlights in your community? So even if that every day that you tune in, you learn something about governance.
Thank you.
Happy to provide content for that.
Awesome. Yeah. So we are going to be giving you content bars. Whether you like it or not, you must learn.
And so at the end of it also, you cannot say you were not told.
Yes.
So you have the information. The fact, as you rightly said, you might choose not to use it, but you can't say you didn't. I mean, especially for those who watch Ways regularly, you can't say, okay, I didn't know. No. Every day we're telling you that this is what you can do and this is how you have power.
Then if you even have your chairman somewhere, maybe we are not there, maybe in Enugu or somewhere, because we have a lot of callers from different parts of Nigeria. You can send us the street name. We'll go and help you look for your chairman. Because that's the whole idea.
And we actually have, and I wasn't prepared to, I didn't prepare to talk about it. We actually have a WhatsApp bot.
Awesome.
That with your your polling unit information, it will tell you everybody that represents you. So by next year, I'll share with you, and you can kind of put the graphic up.
Please,
so it will tell you who your governor is, who your senator is, who your House of Rep member is, who your local government chairman is. And for all of them that we have their phone numbers, it will be there. For if you have your email address, we'll give it. If you have your constituency office, you'll get it. And all of it comes as a WhatsApp message.
Correct. Whether you like it or not, you will work.
And the beauty of it is that because it comes as a WhatsApp message, it's on your phone. So you're not having to look anywhere.
Don't look too much. And you cannot share it with all the people in your area. Oh God, we are there for them. Let's take comments quickly.
By the time the message gets to your phone, you see forwarded 100 times. This is Austin from Delta. For me, we need to hold our leaders accountable. But first of all, be a good citizen by holding yourself accountable to in that your little space. The social media platforms are veritable tools to use. If the road leading to your street is washing away shortly after commissioning, take a picture and post it. Calling out those in charge, both the government officials that awarded the contract and even the contractor who is a political bigwig living in that community. Was it not true the social media that some erring police officers have been fished out and punished? As we have situation room for elections, let us create a situation room for good governance.
Absolutely.
We shouldn't lose hope, please. I salute your guest today. I've watched her regularly in another TV station. She's highly cerebral in her thoughts. My greetings to her, please.
Thank you. Quickly.
Thank you, Austin.
Good evening, my dear beautiful stars of What Are You Saying? #Waves. I want to believe that citizens have the right to the government that they want. That is why we have the word democracy, and that is why we have elections. If the citizens don't have the true governance that they clamored for, then they should be held accountable. And that thing is that we need to have a thorough check of the manifesto of the person we are voting for and choosing. My dear beautiful star Chinelo asked the question. She said, are we ready for good governance? That question is very key. So good to have Yemi in the studio today. It's been a while. My name is Daniel Ilo.
Thank you, Daniel. Citizens' role in public accountability begins from our homes, families, and where the lessons of accountabilities are taught. But today we can see lack of accountability in public spaces because of failures in our family systems and homes.
Yeah.
Parents and guardians do not take care of how their children and wards behave because they seem to close their eyes in their actions. They do not care about money, crazes, blah, blah, blah. Who cares how you become rich? Accountability must be demanded in our homes and from those we serve in public spaces. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much, Yemi Adamuleke. We had a fantastic, and we're going to be doing citizens engagement.
Yes.
There we
I'm
work.
really
Now, before we go, thank you, ladies. Follow us across all our social media handles. Like, share, invite your families and friends to watch and follow the conversation. Now, if you missed our quote for today, here it is again. It is not only what we do, but also what we do not do for which we are accountable. So everything. See you tomorrow at 8 p.m.
Bye.
Increase the reach of your events or business services. To advertise on Plus TV Africa, please call 0906 000 5719 or 0909 040 8408 or send an email to marketing@plustvafrica.com. Plus TV Africa. Big stories live here.
On the Justice Court, the plaintiff, Stephen Loshimbe, is asking the court to compel Halima to return the car he bought from her on hire purchase.
All rise. Court in session. Honorable Judge Fumi Asaolu presiding. Please be seated. Your Honor, this case is between Stephen Lochimba and Momo Alima. Parties one.
Thank you, Aki.
You're welcome, Your Honor.
Stephen Lochimba. You are the one that brought the defendant, Momo Alimat.
Yes, Your Honor.
Alimat.
Yes, please.
I learned you are not feeling too fine and you love to have a seat.
Yes, Your Honor.
You can have your seat.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Yeah. So, Let me know why you are here.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
Your claim that you submitted, you stated that there's an agreement.
Sure.
Let me see the copy of the agreement while you are narrating. Okay, so go ahead. Thank you.
I met her February 2020. How we meet around K2. She was driving the same car while she hit me at the back while I was driving mine. So from there, I kind of like told her that the damage she damaged at the back bumper, she meant to repair it, which she agreed that I should come to her area in the Ikorodu where her mechanic can fix it for me because I was on the trip with the rider, that is a passenger. So after 3 days, I went there, the Panabita now fixed it at the sum of 3,000 naira. So from there, we got talking. But while talking, she told me that she also would like to invest in the Uber business, which I take time to explain everything to her in and out of the business, how the remitter works and how the hire purchase also works. And she told me that the car she was driving actually, for now, she bought it because of her son. So for that one, she won't give it out except to buy 2 more cars, maybe before the year runs up. That was what she told me. So after COVID-19, I received a call from her. That was in July 2020, that she will want to give this car out. She will no longer want to buy these other 2 cars that she told me about, but she want to give this car in case if I see someone. I said, okay, I'll look out for somebody. And after 2 days again, she called me again and she asked me if I still want to, if I've gotten a car for the hire purchase, because I told her that the one I was driving was a remitter, which is meant for the weekly payment. The car can still belong to the owner, but for hire purchase, I'm meant to drive it and own it after the period covered. So she now asked me that, how far with the hire purchase? Am I still interested in it? I told her yes. I said, I come and take this one, which I told her I'll be coming. So the day I went there, I went with my mechanic to go and inspect the car. So everything was checked out. What I noticed that the car was rusted under, which I complained to the mechanic. The mechanic told me that Panabita can do the work as long as the engine is still fine, which I agreed. We discussed the amount. She told me that she bought the car at 1.8. The amount she was giving for hire purchase, she got 3.3, which I told her, no, this particular time, the price is not up to that. Even the good car that they just bought in new too, it's not up to that amount. So we bargained the price, and we end up agreeing on 2.9
million naira.
2.9 million naira.
That's your agreement.
So for the coming to the agreement, we make the agreement. We signed the agreement. That was November. That's same 2020. But before the agreement, I started working. I make payment of 3 times before the agreement. The lawyer finally did the agreement for us. After doing the agreement,
how much were you paying each time?
That year for that 2020, because
you said you paid 3 times. Which
okay,
month?
It was 20,000 naira.
Okay, for the 3 months.
Yes, but she refused that. Since we didn't sign the agreement before then, she
didn't take the money from you.
I do pay her through transfer.
Okay, so she complained that you should tidy up the agreement, or what do you mean? Or did she refund it
What
back?
I'm trying to say is, before we signed the agreement, I've already started work and started making payment to her.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. That how many months?
Just 3 weeks.
3 weeks. You were paying on weekly basis.
Yes, weekly basis. So
you had paid 60,000 naira at that time.
So after when the agreement came, she said no, she won't include the money inside. And apart from that trip, I also worked 1 week. Who she give me, because the day I took the car from her, the battery shut down, and I have to buy a new battery because I have to hire a battery, and I was working with that battery. So 1 week was made for the battery, which we both agreed on. So with the battery, that 20,000 for the battery and the 60,000 naira, she said no, she can't include none of them. So since the agreement is now, we have to start from that November, which I agreed and we continued. So, but the reason why I'm here is that this same car So she was meant to provide comprehensive insurance for me. She did not.
She was supposed to.
Comprehensive insurance for me that would cover the car.
I saw it here now.
She told me that she didn't have money, that I should do.
That's in your clause 5, Roman figure 3.
Yes.
And the owner shall pay all the premium payable to the insurance company. That's it. Continue.
And for the number 1 of it too, she was meant to be the one doing the renewal of the papers until I make the payment finish. But in that aspect too, she failed to do it.
That's 5.1. 5 Roman figure 1. To ensure all car document renewals in respect of the Corolla motor vehicle are renewed as at when due without delays, provided that where the owner defaults in complying with this clause, the IRA shall be relieved of the duty of making weekly payments as required under this agreement. Do you know the meaning of that? What you are saying is, where the document is not renewed, then the IRA is relieved. That's, you don't have the duty to make weekly payment as required for that period.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, go ahead.
But in my own case, I was still making payment to her. It was just last year, October, whereby last month, homemade at the Yanauru bus stop. Reason being, it was also the fact that she failed to remind me or maybe tell me that the insurance, send message to her about the insurance. Because all the information, the line, it is her that registered the car. So they send her message. So in regards to that, the app logged me off, which I didn't work for like 4 weeks. So I went to go and do the inspection.
You had an accident?
No, like we used both app and Uber app.
Okay.
So a situation whereby your document is expired, they will log you up.
Okay.
Out of the app, you won't have access to use the app anymore.
The plaintiff, Stephen Loshimbe, and the defendant, Momo Halima, became acquainted after their cars collided in an accident. Stephen ended up buying Halima's car on hire purchase for Uber services. He claims that due to an accident, he could not meet his payment obligation when the car was undergoing repair. Halima repossessed the car and resold it to someone else, despite Stephen having paid a substantial part of the 2.9 million naira agreed for the price of the Toyota Corolla car. Halima claims that her action was guided by the hire purchase agreement. Judge Fumi wades into this matter.
The crux of the matter right now is like she has taken possession of the vehicle.
Yes, ma'am.
Because you claimed that at one point in time you had an accident with the car. You were not working for some time. You had to raise money to do the repairs. You said you spent about 700,000 naira.
Yeah, close to 700,000
naira. And eventually, you took the vehicle to her. She wanted to inspect. That's what you said there.
That is what.
Yes, he wanted to inspect and took it down to her, and she decided to take possession. She now gave you a time frame to pay up.
Okay.
You did not. That's what she wrote to. I'm telling you your case. And by the time you got somebody to give you the money to buy it, you claimed that she told you she has sold off the car, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Let me have your response to that. You still talk. Let her respond to it.
According to how we know each other, if I should start explaining, it will take much time. I bought this car when I was learning how to drive car with the same Toyota Corolla. So from there now, we exchange number to repair his car. That is how we got to know each other. So after a few weeks or months, and now I want to give out the car. So which he came and said he wants it on a higher process because the one he's using is weekly delivery. I said, okay, if that is the case, I will take it on a higher process, which we all agree. The first, when he took the car, I told him if he can leave the car till the agreement is well done before he can take the car. He said no, that since the agreement is not on ground yet, that he will go with the car and test run it. So I now told him that, okay, since you are test running it, the weekly delivery, which Uber are doing on a remitter basis, is 20,000 naira. Be doing that for now until the agreement is well signed. So those are the weeks, the 3 weeks he's claiming he has been remitting outside the agreement. So when the agreement was done, that we signed the agreement, the higher process agreement started. So on the higher process agreement, I told him that, okay, this higher process, you are the one to repair the car on that amount we agree, which is 2.9. You will be the one to repair the car. And although on a normal ground, higher process need to drop either 40 or whatever % before taking the car, which he did not do.
No, you did not request for it.
So I request for it. He said, I request for it. He said he didn't have.
Look, let me look at it. You see, you don't even go to that at all with me.
Okay.
You know why? If you were not okay with it, you will not hand over the key to your vehicle to it.
Yes.
So only tell me what you agree.
So I don't give you
not
the
what
car.
the standard
He was
practice,
doing
the agreement between you. That's what I want.
Yes, it was when he was working and remitting. All of a sudden, one day he came. He said, "I called him. Where are you?" He said he has serviced the car to travel out of Lagos with it. I told him, there was no agreement for you to travel out of Lagos with the car. The car is to be drive within Lagos. So from there now, he now said, okay, he wants to travel. He parked, I said, bring the car and park in my house. He parked in 2 weeks, travel and come back. After coming back now, he now took the car. So anytime the car has issue of services or repairing, he will not deliver. He will use the money.
That's not your agreement. Because
it was
your agreement is for you to still be giving them money.
Yes, ma'am.
That's what is written here.
So he was.
And wait, I'll save you a lot of trouble because I just came across a clause. So you just wait. When you were doing the repair of the vehicle, how long did it take you?
For the time I had an accident.
Yes, when it had accident. How long did it take the mechanic?
Was 2 months.
2 months.
Yeah, due to the fact that I wasn't having much money for the repair.
So you didn't make any payment throughout that period?
The car was done. I wasn't working.
That's what I'm saying. Because you see,
in the agreement,
as much as it's possible to look at it from the moral angle that taking the vehicle back from you is wrong, after you have paid so much money, what you signed here is what she did. Unfortunately, there's nothing you can do. Look at it. Paragraph 8 of your agreement. If the hirer shall make default in payment of any weekly sum payable hereunder for more than 3 consecutive weeks after the same have become due, or shall fail to observe or perform any of the terms and conditions of this agreement, the owner may, without prejudice to a claim for arrears or hire or damages, if any, for breach of this agreement, forthwith terminate the hiring without notice and retake physical possession of the said Corolla motor vehicle herself or through her agents or servants, or by written notice to the hirer, to determine this agreement and the hiring hereby constituted. On such termination, the hirer shall immediately return the said Corolla motor vehicle to the owner at her place of address for the time being.
Okay. Your Honor.
I'm listening.
There's also.
I'm not sure.
There's also.
Now, okay, continue.
There's also a place where it's written, if I failed in default to remit to her for that same period, I have to inform her. She will be aware of it. which give me the grace or the privilege.
Grace, privilege, which he waived.
What I'm trying to say...
Take it to him. Give me that paragraph. Let me read it out to you. Give it to him. Let him show me the paragraph.
This is default under number 8.
Okay, let me have it.
And also...
That's the one I read out.
I understand.
That's the portion I read out.
There's one thing I want to point there. Without reasonable
Yes.
cause,
What is reasonable cause now?
you can have an accident.
Did you, you know what? When you do such agreements, you will not. There's what we call addendum. Your lawyer will now put addendum there. Likely things that could be, then you put unforeseen circumstances. That's act of God. Like, maybe there's fire outbreak. You can include accident there and everything. You put it there. But what you just agreed on is, in fact, I don't know why you would agree that, because you did not even put any clause there. What you ought to have done is, if you have paid up to a particular percentage, I'm just teaching you this because of next time. If you paid, because you know how much you have paid now, maybe you would have agreed that by the time you have paid up to half of the money, then you look for things that will bind her such that she cannot automatically terminate it. Because you see, when you say without reasonable cause, it is vague. It's vague. What do you identify as that?
There was an accident that involved, which she was meant to provide insurance that will cover the accident. Most of the Uber cars,
on this is for you. This one,
cover.
Termination.
On
the insurance, that is for her.
The insurance will give another
Apart
car,
from insurance, on the keep
repair.
quiet. When I'm talking, you keep quiet. Just keep quiet. On the insurance, that is for her. Let me tell you where the problem is. It's the foundation that you had is, if you both agreed on certain terms and it's written here, and a party has not complied with it, why will you let the agreement take off? You got there, you saw the documents. At the time you took the vehicle, was there a comprehensive insurance as you agreed there?
She promised that as she was going to issue it, I should start work, she's going to
What time frame did he give you?
She did not give me a time, but she said, okay, the money she have, she uses
So,
for something.
if she did
Why
not,
she would do it?
You don't understand that. You have to, because you should have been specific. Because ordinarily what ought to happen is, if I were in your shoe, I would tell her, I cannot take the vehicle because I would have envisaged all this. We agreed these are the things that should be provided. Until all these things are provided, then I cannot start. But you waived it. You waived it. You agreed. Now you went, there's no comprehensive, you started working and you are paying. If you had waited, because she wants to make money as well, she was eager to make money, she would look for money and put it in place for you. Because you would have maintained your ground. That no, there's no way. And for those periods that you have in the agreement, that she has to renew the documents and she has not, and it's clearly written here that you are not supposed to pay her. Why did you pay her? You are the one waiving all the terms in your agreement. You were the one. And now it comes to her turn, she decided not to waive her own. What other stuff do you have?
After signing the agreement, she pleaded with me that she have a baby. Then I will
You know what? Let me tell you one thing. If you people just had an oral agreement, I will have issues on whether I should go to the left or go to the right.
No, I'm not going out of place.
I'm talking about myself. I said if it's oral agreement you had and it's not documented, you know what oral agreement is? If you just agree by mouth, you didn't put it down in writing. Okay. If that is what you had, I'll be waiting for your stories, because I'll be trying to balance it and see whether somebody is lying or not. But in this instance, it's documented. And you know what? is stated there. There are things, they are precondition. They are precondition to the start off of the agreement. Is written there. You see what you have is precondition, things to be done for the agreement to be able to be binding and take place. Then you have the section of where anything goes wrong in the course of your contract. While it's on, if anything goes wrong, then there are things to be done. Then you now have what the ways and manner in which it can come to an end. No, for the start off, I don't know. Because it's just negligence on your part. There's no way you ought to have started without comprehensive, because it's high risk, Uber, permanently on the road. It's not as if you're just going to walk, you park it, then when you close in the evening, you move the car. It's like anybody can call you anytime and you just keep on moving. So it's very, very essential for there to be an insurance on the vehicle. And because you saw it that way, but you took it, you waived it. That is my problem. You waived it, you knew. Of course, first thing you check all the papers, it's not there. You tell her, it's not done. Okay, you want to do within so period. When it's ready, because I can pick it from your house, even before I get to my house, there can be an accident. Is that not true?
It's true.
So it's a risk. It's a risk you saw. You saw it there.
And she assured me.
She assured you. Supposing that very day when you took it from her house, and while you were on your way, that was when this accident happened, what would have happened? Do you understand? It's just because it happened later. It could have been that very day. It could have been on our own street before you even go far.
She shouldn't be the same person. While she failed on her own part, she's not claiming right over the vehicle after making a huge payment over the vehicle.
It's what you signed for. That is the problem. That's what the first thing I was trying to point out to you, that there are some things you should have stated there about if you pay up to a particular amount of money, then there's something you waive that she has to comply. You know, not the open power you gave her here. Without notice. That's even, I don't even know why you agree to that. To terminate without notice. Ideally, she should notify you and let you know why she wants to. And you now subject that to mediation first, if you have paid up to a certain amount of money.
The plaintiff, Stephen Loshimbe, was not able to convince the court that he has reasonable cause for action. After the break, Judge Fumi dismisses this matter.
Your Honor, can I say it?
The two of you can speak at the same time. Let him speak first.
Okay.
Thank you. In that period, this is what happened. I was meant, we were both calculating the transaction.
Is this something outside what you have written here that you want to tell me?
No, you just...
If it's what you have...
That period should give me the time to...
You understand? If it's what you have written here, there's no need. But if it's something that is not written here by you, so there's no need. I can read and write. I've read it. So I know what is there. So don't give me a repetition on that.
No, that time you give me, I bring 700,000 naira.
Do you know what you wrote there? You both agreed on complete sum, lump sum. It's in the agreement here. I saw it. You did not even tell her that she should, in your agreement, that is the agreement. Is this what you used to tide yourself? Because here, you did not even tell her that at the time, if she's giving you option to pay, she should allow you to pay by installment. You wrote lump sum once. And you now brought part payment to her. This matter is hereby struck out.
All rise.
Have you been cheated or have a dispute and want justice? Don't take laws into your hands. Log on to www.thejusticescourt.com and submit your case.
Increase the reach of your events or business services. To advertise on Plus TV Africa, please call 0906 000 5719 or 0909 040 8408, or send an email to marketing@plustvafrica.com. Plus TV Africa. Big stories live here.
What we do not understand, we will stigmatize.
What you can see is the remaining of the tanker that exploded.
The suspect equally confessed.
A 500 naira they collect am.
If you no talk, then go beat you.
Na 2,500 they pay.
Is it for upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria?
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Buki November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on Plus TV Africa.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
Good afternoon. I am Maureen Menongwezigwe, and this is News Update. Bandits abducted no fewer than 10 students of Government Secondary School Awon, a day secondary school in Kachia, local government area of Kaduna State on Monday. Kaduna State Commissioner for Ministry of Internal Security and Home Affairs, Samuel Arunwa, confirmed this in a statement on Tuesday. The commissioner said the state government received a preliminary report from security agencies regarding the kidnap of the students. According to the reports, Arunwa said the exact location of the incident is yet to be ascertained. He said detailed reports were being awaited to clarify whether the incident occurred within the school premises or elsewhere. Lieutenant General Farouk Yahaya says it is on record that Nigeria recorded its highest rating in the fight against terrorism in 2022 since 2011 till date. He said the efforts in Operation Harden Kai in synergy with the sister services and other security agencies has significantly curtailed terrorism and insurgency that hitherto bedeviled the northeast part of the country, as continuous injection of trained troops and special equipment through Operations Lake Sanity and Desert Sanity to complement efforts by OPHK had been rewarding.
The peaceful conduct of general elections across the country, including
in the southeast. Despite the sense of insecurity created by criminal elements in the region, is a testament to our resolve to ensure security in the entire nation. Our additional efforts through Joint Task Force Operation Udoka paid off in the southeast, thus ensuring successful election in the region as well. Even though long before the actual election, IPOP and ESN and their supporters have threatened that there would be no elections in the zone. Let me state here that elections or no elections, neither IPOP, ESN, nor any other groups or individuals should threaten the integrity of this nation as enshrined in the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
The Oni of Ife, Oba Eniton Adeyeye Ogunwusi, says traditional rulers need to be assigned constitutional roles in the security and governance architecture of the country, failure of which the country won't effectively tackle emerging and contemporary security challenges confronting the country. The Oni spoke at the 2023 Exercise Haskihiyu Lecture Series organized by the Armed Forces Command and Staff College, Jaji, Kaduna State. Delivering a lecture with the theme Combating Internal Security Challenges Through Effective Utilization of Traditional Institutions, the guest speaker, the Oni, stressed that the failure of the security agencies and the government to assign specific constitutional roles to traditional rulers was largely responsible for the lingering insecurity in the country. And members of the People's Democratic Party, the PDP, in Rivers State continue their protests in Port Harcourt, the state capital, at the office of the Independent National Electoral Commission over the inspection of materials used in the last general elections. Today's protest was joined by more State Assembly members, including the Leader of the House, Martins Awehule, alongside the Deputy Speaker, Edison Ehie, and Chairman of Ikwere Local Government Area, Samuel Nwanosike. In addition to the demands for joint inspection of electoral demands and issuance of certified true copies of result sheets, the PDP is demanding the arrest of the All Progressive Congress governorship candidate, Tonya Cole, for alleged murder. They are accusing Cole of leading thugs to attack them during the protest on Monday, allegedly leading to the death of one person. Efforts to get Cole's reaction on the fresh allegation of murder by the PDP were not successful as at press time. And the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, in Rivers State requested the cooperation of all political parties seeking the inspection of election materials used in the February 25th and March 18th, 2023 polls, saying it will discharge its constitutional and lawful duties without preferences or bias. INEC Resident Electoral Commissioner in the state, Johnson Sinikiem, in a statement said about 50 applicants were received for inspection of election materials. For days now, members of the People's Democratic Party and the All Progressive Congress have clashed at the INEC office in the state over the inspection of election materials. However, the INEC commissioner in the state said although the application of certified true copies of documents and access for inspection of election materials are the legitimate entitlement of candidates and parties to election petitions, these are, however, governed by processes and procedures which include payment of requisite fees, making copies and photocopies of relevant documents, and certification by the authorized official of the Commission. Ade Obekwa, a U.S.-based medical doctor, and his company, Renaissance Network Africa, are suing the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, and the federal government over alleged failure to recognize them as originators of the e-voting system used during the elections. The suit was filed before the Abuja Federal High Court on March 21st. In the suit, plaintiffs are praying the court for an order directing the defendants to pay 77 billion naira as compensation and another 500 million naira as damages for allegedly using their idea without giving credits. He claimed that the iVoting system proposal was conceived by him to ensure that valid votes cast in any elections in Nigeria are not altered or eliminated from the final tally, while invalid votes are also not allowed or counted in the final tally by unscrupulous elements who aid desperate politicians to rig elections. Obekpa said he flew to Nigeria to meet with Atahiru Jega, former INEC chairman, and they had discussed his proposal. They also want the court to direct the federal government to publicly recognize and acknowledge the plaintiffs and their team who were involved in the preparation and design of the I-voting proposal to the first defendant since 2010. Honorable Ayuba Nuhu Abok, the impeached Speaker of the Plateau State House of Assembly, who was reinstated on Monday, has resumed office to continue with his responsibilities to the state. Honorable Abok was reinstated following a judgment delivered by Plateau High Court presided over by Justice Nafisa Musa. He resumed office as early as 9 a.m. today in what is generally regarded as a move to take over his mandate. The reinstated speaker, who spoke with newsmen on Tuesday morning in his office, assured the security agencies that they are going to be peaceful in their responsibilities without any fight.
Welcome, Mr. Speaker. Thank you very much. It's good to be back. Yes, my member. Congratulations, democracy. Welcome, Mr. Speaker. Yes, it's good to be back. It's good to be back for Plateau. We are so happy, so delighted that the judgment has been given. The firmness of the judiciary, and today we are coming in peace. We are going to continue with the normal duties of the Plateau State House of Assembly. We are not going to fight. There's nothing. There's no rancor. There's not any fight. We are going to work. We were elected to work for Plateau State, and we continue to work for Plateau State. All we need is Plateau State to progress. God bless us.
Zuba Magistrate Court in Abuja has remanded in prison one Mr. Obiajulu Uja, the middle-aged who said the president-elect Bola Tinubu would never be sworn in as president on May 29th. Uja, who was arraigned before the court, had in a viral video on an aircraft made a sensitive comment. He was forcefully evacuated from the aircraft. According to the court papers, Uja was charged with public nuisance, resistance to a lawful arrest, threatening violence, and conduct likely to cause a breach of peace. The court would on April 6th hear his bail application. Well, several Nigerian youths converged on the headquarters of Nigeria's electoral body to show their support for the recently concluded elections. They say claims that elections were marred with irregularities are false and calls for an interim national government are treasonable. They also called on aggrieved participants at the polls to go to court to express their displeasure.
Inciting, calling for a taboo, which they call interim national government. That will never happen, not in Nigeria, not in any African country that we support. It is a taboo for anybody under any guise, alcohol or consumption, to rise up to call for interim government in this nation when we have INEC.
I want to thank you for the civil manner you have conducted yourselves. I want to assure you, on behalf of the management of Independent National Electoral Commission, that the message will be delivered to the chairman. And if we have need of getting back to you, we will do that in due course. INEC will do its utmost best to continue doing what the law asks it to do, and Nigeria will be greater and greater.
And on the foreign scene, Tunisian President Kais Saied appeared in a video posted Monday on his official Facebook page, dismissing what he described as mad reports over his health following almost 2 weeks with no public engagements. The North African country's main opposition coalition had pressed the government earlier to explain Said's public absence, saying it had information that he was sick. Said, 65, had not appeared in public or held any meetings since March 22, according to posts on Facebook, the presidency's only official channel of communication. The lack of statements or videos has sparked rumors over the state of Said's health. In his video, Said accused unnamed people of trying to create crisis by talking of a power vacuum. Said, who staged a dramatic power grab in July 2021 and has since ruled by decree last year, rammed through a constitution giving his office unlimited powers and nurturing parliament. Since February, security forces have arrested over 20 public figures, including top members of the opposition. The Finnish flag is due to be raised at NATO headquarters in Brussels as Russia's western neighbor becomes the 31st member of the Western Alliance. Finnish President Sauli Niinisto and the U.S. Secretary of State will join NATO ministers for a joining ceremony. Finland's accession is a setback for Russia's Vladimir Putin, who repeatedly complained of NATO's expansion before his full-scale invasion of Ukraine. They had previously both adopted a policy of non-alignment. But after the Ukraine war invasion, they chose the protection of NATO's Article 5, which says an attack on one member is an attack on all.
For Finland, of course. And I'd say it's a win-win situation. It's good for NATO also. But our next goal is, of course, to get our good neighbor Sweden to the full membership.
Today that we see as, I think, a direct result of Vladimir Putin's aggression and his illegal invasion of Ukraine, the day where a new ally joins our defensive alliance. I think that is very positive. We will celebrate that today and then very quickly get to work on the accession of Sweden.
We sincerely congratulate our Finnish friends with the accession. Ukraine is aiming at reaching the same goal, becoming a full member of NATO, and it will be one of the topics of our conversations here in Brussels of how can we move forward.
There's no reason for neither the Turkish parliament or the Hungarian parliament to make any further delays. They should start the ratification process because we have the support of all member states in NATO to become invitees. And
Russian Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu says Finland's accession to the NATO military alliance and NATO's move to increase its own combat readiness increase the risk of conflict. But he said he would not affect the outcome of what Russia calls its special military operation in Ukraine. Russia says one of the reasons why it sent its armed forces into Ukraine in February 2022 was to counter a threat from what it said were Western plans to use Ukraine as a platform to threaten Russia. President Vladimir Putin said last month that Russia would station tactical nuclear weapons on the territory of Belarus. And in business, Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited spokesman Garbadeen Mohammed in a statement says the company knew nothing about the payment of the sum of 20 billion naira to ghost consultants as alleged by an online platform. The NNPC Limited stated that as a responsible corporation, it does not have or deal with ghost consultants, adding that NNPC Limited process of engaging consultants whenever the need arises is clear and verifiable and follows global best practices. On the Ogun State government claiming a back duty tax liability of about 18 billion naira against an NNPC subsidiary, the Petroleum Product Marketing Company Limited, the company says for clarity, PPMC had objected and challenged the claim through its tax consultant. Consequently, the Ogun State government took the matter to court, which is not unusual in business circles. Well, that's the news update. I am Orang Menongwe. Many thanks for watching.
For upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria.
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Buki November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's Tea Time on Plus TV Africa.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
It is engagement we need to have.
Those who suffer miscarriages are never taken into account.
Members of the National Assembly are also influence peddlers.
You are sitting on Nigerians' money.
From the barbing, I pay my rent. On the barbing, I send my children to school.
A consultative engagement.
No any tangible notification before they ban us.
It's one thing for people to be at your back and the heat of the moment, and another thing for them to still be with you when push comes to shove.
Many people are often in psychological conflict between individuality and societal expectations. Thus, due to not knowing any better, or sometimes out of the audacity of thinking that they do, many tout these norms and expectations as the one single version of the truth. Oftentimes, we are judged by them, driving many to sacrifice the happiness they can attain as unique individuals for the rule of society that do not really matter in the grand scheme of things, and that many do not even sincerely follow themselves. Well, here's what I say. Flout their tout. A wise person once said, "Don't base your decisions on the advice of those who don't have to deal with your issues." The fact that you have remained single for a long time, especially if you're a woman, is often viewed as some kind of stigma in many parts of the world, even in the so-called liberal parts of society. But I'm here to tell you that regardless of what your relationship status is, and in fact, and now I'm ad-libbing, irrespective of what your status your age, your phase of life is. You are in an enviable position because you have the opportunity to write a new script for yourself, to create a beautiful, wonderful, and fulfilling life. So no, do not keep your head down. That is the last thing that you should do. Do not compare your life to others. You have no idea what their journey is all about, Woody Hayes said. My name is Adefunke Adeyemi, or Funke for short. I'm an advocate and I'm the regional director for the International Air Transport Association in Africa, looking after external affairs and sustainability. So I have to confess that this was not the first book that I thought I had in me. Many people who know me know that I can be quite academic, and the work that I've been doing over the years as a lawyer, I'm a lawyer, and also the work I've been doing over the years has lent itself to policy issues, economics, aviation, trends, and things like that. So I thought that I was going to write something academic. I'm also a Pan-African, so I'm really, really passionate about Africa and how we can seamlessly connect the continent and integrate it better. So I also have that in me. And yes, I will get there one day, but I didn't think that this was the first message that I was going to write in the form of a book. So it was a particular incident that sparked this off. And it was an issue that someone who was very close to me did that I thought was really disillusioning and somewhat disturbing at the time. Not going into details, but basically it was just a question of me not understanding that we were not on the same page, right? And so it became something that I needed to deal with and cope with. And typically, when I have something and I'm dealing with that's ruminating in my mind, I write. I've always loved words. I mean, I've been reading voraciously since the age of 5. I read everything in my father's library, including encyclopedias and things like that. So I've always loved words. I love the power of words. I love the way that they evoke emotion, the way that they can make you escape, the way they can transport you to different places. And so, the natural home for me to cope with the emotions I was dealing with from that incident was to write something down. It also coincided with the time that I was traveling on a business trip. And so once I got on the plane, I just started dumping my thoughts, just started putting stuff down on my laptop. So it started out as a dump, right? Just to cope with a particular incident. But then as I was on that business trip, I started to think about it more and more as a message that the world needed to hear. And so on that trip, within 36 hours, I had banged out the first 3 chapters of the book. Now that was in 2016. So this has been a 5-year journey. I launched it, I finished it in 2021 and launched, the first few days in 2022. So it took 5 years. So I have to tell you, it's been overwhelming and very, very surprising. And I know the question you're asking, I'm going to answer that. But it's been overwhelming. A lot of people who have read the book, I mean, even the most unlikely people. I was just telling someone in the store before we started that a 79-year-old woman, my friend's mother, read the book and said, wow, I'm so excited by this book. And it's inspired me to pick up my life again at 79. So I was really blown away by that. So many different reviews. Someone said, oh, I've given it to my mentees and they're raving all about it. So many people say that they can relate to the message of the book. And now to your question, the simple message of the book is this, that no matter what age or phase or stage or relationship status you're in life, it's incumbent on you to, first of all, be unapologetically yourself. Secondly, to live the best life that we're called to do, because we're not called here for anything else, but first and foremost to be our best selves, and then to add on to that, be doing other things. And the other thing is that we're supposed to be using the totality of ourselves, and this is my own personal firm opinion, that we're to use the totality of ourselves, our gifts, our physical abilities, our talents, our passion, our interests, our experience, our exposure, everything that we have the opportunity to experience to impact the world positively around us. And the catch is, why not do this when you're either, one, single from the lens of never being married, or that you have been down that road and you're not anymore, or from the lens of someone who is called singular, which is the title of the book. And what do I mean by singular? It's such a wide and broad category. Did you know that empty nesters are singulars? Their children have gone off to boarding school, or they've gone off to school or university, or they're starting out in life. And now you're home alone or home with your partner. And perhaps, you focus so much of your time and attention on them, which is a laudable thing and it's wonderful. But now what? What do you do? So you have time on your hands. And so perhaps you've put off some of your dreams, your own personal objectives and goals for your own life in order to do that. So it's now time for you to get back to it. Did you also know that it is for people who have been bereaved? You've lost your spouse, that relationship has ended. So what next? What do you do? My mom is in this category and I talked to her about it and she gets it. She understands what this message is about, and there's so many in there. But it's not just about women, it's men too. Now to the literary world, I'm so impressed, honestly. Like there's a boom of writers all around. I mean, before now, we know that some of the greats have come from Nigeria and Africa. We have, Chinua Achebe, Wole Soyinka, Buchi Emecheta, Ben Okri. There's so many of them that have been absolutely fantastic. One of my favorite books is So Long a Letter by Mariam Abba, a Senegalese writer, a forerunner of her time, a pace setter, a female writer talking about constraints of a Muslim religious society and how she survived that. So there's so many wonderful examples and legacy examples to choose from. But more recently, there's been so much going on in the literary space. And I think we have some of our very prominent writers to thank for that, like Chimamanda Adichie. She's done a great job putting writing by women and writing by Africans on the global stage. And I think that's really opened the door for a lot of people to think, well, I can do this too. If I feel like this is a passion for me or this is something that I'm interested in, then I can do it. So there's a lot of inspiration out there, but there can be a lot more. So I know that so many people have stories within them that they want to tell. A lot of people don't know how to go about it. And I guess the message there is, just start, start with your thoughts. Don't worry about the words, don't worry about format. Just start with putting your thoughts down, and then you can start to create, the structure around it. But if you have a story to tell inside you, go for it.
Telephone switch on light on. Switching commander internal. Expectedly back, DW. Fuel tank pressure 60. Your nav state with back and is perfect.
Hello, this is the Greater Lagos Vision and I'm your host, Love Ikuku Oyedokun. It was a gale of commissioning in Lagos State by President Muhammadu Buhari during a two-day working visit to Nigeria's commercial capital city, the Center of Excellence, themed Lagos Festival of